Hello, my Teaserking family. I'll be everybody today. Let's talk some football. We got a noon game. Let's see. So last night, let's look at those scores. So Michigan State wins 31-7. Miami wins 38-3. Van Dyke looked pretty good. They ran the ball pretty good. Louisville comes from behind and wins 39-34. They're getting beat most of the day. And Stanford 37, Hawaii 24. As I warned you, that spread got a little bit too low. So I didn't like Hawaii. I liked them at 9-15. They lost by 13. So we would have won at the normal 8-9 spread. But see, once the spread got to 3, they overreacted. Maybe that's a fixed game, right? All the money's going on Hawaii, and then Hawaii lays down and gets beat. So, you never know, but people overreacting. Again, Hawaii was like New Mexico State. We learned our lesson, so we didn't play them. Probably, like I said, the over 54-48 was probably the right play. Stanford went to a dual quarterback like New Mexico, like UMass did. So he can run, and he ran for a lot of yards, passed for some yards. Hawaii has no defense. So again, they give up over 35. They're just scoring more. Now they're an over team like New Mexico State. We'll see if UMass is an over team playing a real team today in Auburn. We'll see that. Hey, Eric, what's your opinion on TCU minus 21 versus Colorado? I'm betting TCU. What's up? Hi, Eric. Good morning. Well, TCU really has a good quarterback, much better than you think, because he was the starter. And I know I've said that in the past, that he was the starter ahead of Duggan, gets hurt. Duggan takes over. Everybody thinks, oh, Duggan left, they're going to have a problem. Duggan wasn't even the starter. So I think TCU is a very explosive team. The question is, how strong is their defense, and what does Prime Junior bring to the table? Are they going to be able to light up Colorado? I think TCU scores a lot on them, probably a 50 or a 60. So what do we got? We got Colorado over 63. So yeah, I don't love TCU. I think it's a kind of a big number, but I think I would play TCU minus the 14.5 here. And I think they're at home. Yeah, and Coach Prime, I mean, give me a break. What has he done? And he's not division. There's a big jump. Look at like Scott Frost, as I said, at UCF. He goes to Nebraska. A guy can't win a game. So I don't think Prime Time will be ready. Hey, Major James, what's up? I'm fine, thank you. Looking to make some more money today. Real D, good morning. Eric, I'll hype on Deion Sanders. Well, of course, it's just what they do in the news now. It's hype. Who cares? Like I told Bobby, he said, "Oh, they're looking at Florida to win against Utah," and I said, "Well, let them bet Florida. We make our own mind up here. We don't listen to the outside world, and that's why we're so successful." So, we being the class. So, I'm not really gonna, let them talk about Deion. He used to work there or whatever. They're just trying to add viewers and say, look, it's Deion Sanders. But he was a good player. I'm not saying he's a good coach, though. Yeah, he did good at Division II. Big deal. I think TCU, I like their coach. Now understand TCU lit up Michigan last year, and it wasn't all Max Duggan. So he knows how to coach against good defenses, and there's no way Colorado's defense with Coach Primetime is anywhere near the Michigan defense. So he knew how to light it up. So my point is, I think he's going to light them up. I don't think we'll have a problem. Hey, Kenzie. Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, it made sense. Hawaii's starting to score and has no defense, so I can see that. Any under baseball game you like today? Well, I haven't really looked at it. We have some noon football, so I'd like to look at that first, and then we can go to then we'll quickly look at baseball. So let's go through today's lines. And the real D, see, that's why you rank the teams, or you understand the teams. You've got New Mexico State, Hawaii that have fairly good quarterbacks, fairly good overs, and no defense. And the other teams are just going to, score a lot on them. So if you understand the team, like I said today, we got USC, Nevada. I'm a little scared of the over in the game because I don't think Nevada's going to give us anything. So that psychologically then thought process goes to, well, let's just take USC and lay the points because I'm not going to get points from Nevada. Where Hawaii, Stanford, I wasn't sure I'm going to get points from Stanford, but they switched quarterbacks. I knew they'd get something on Hawaii because they don't have a defense. So the key to the thing is defense. 1 second, I get my coffee. All right, so let's take a look. Baseball games today don't start until 4. Oh, okay. The real D, it's scary because betting USC because you will bet the under. They end up scoring 65 points and just they own the team. Well, no, you either bet USC games over or you bet USC to cover. So if they play UCLA or Utah or Oregon or Washington or the Arizonas, you're just going to bet them over. When they play like a Washington State or an Oregon State, we got to see if they have defenses. Then you just then you play it under. But no, like in today's game, how many points is Nevada going to score? I don't know. I mean, this is what we got to see. Are they coming up with this dual? Everybody's going to this dual quarterback who can't throw, and he runs a little bit. And they play that defense. So, let's take a look at the line. So we start off with Michigan 35.5, 53.5. This went from 55 to 51. Liberty 7.5, down from 9.5, down really from 10, and 48.5. See, these lines move this little half point. It's ridiculous. Oklahoma 36.5, 58.5. Purdue 3.5, 46.5. We'll go through the games. Purdue, where's Purdue? See, now Purdue's one of those games that was the 6.5 down to 3.5. So you're betting on Fresno State, who doesn't have a quarterback, so they got a new quarterback. So you got to be careful when the line really moves like this. Is it too much movement? Then it's like somebody's listening to somebody and they're all betting on it. It's like these stocks, everybody puts their money on Tesla, and then everybody's going to lose their ass because they can't sell a car because nobody wants an electric car. So you can't just follow the sheep, which is what I don't like to do. You'll bet the under. BC 8.5, 50.5. BC's pretty bad team. Kentucky 26.5. And 48.5. See, Kentucky goes from 26.5 to 25.5, now it's back to 26.5. What the fuck's that all about? This little point, like everybody's jumping on Kentucky and then jumping on Ball State, now jumping back on Kentucky. I don't know what that shit is. Iowa 23.5, 43.5. Here's TCU. Now they up to 21 now, Eric, 63.5. So they finally moved a little. And the total stayed. So there's a little TCU betting going on. Tennessee 27.5, 56.5. Hasn't moved. SMU 20.5 and 66.5. That's a team that might blow out tonight is SMU. Actually, that's a noon game. They might. So we got to look at these noon games: TCU, Tennessee, Iowa, Kentucky. So all these games I'm going through right now are all at noon. What a pain in the ass that is. So Michigan's at noon, Liberty, Oklahoma, Purdue, BC, Kentucky, Iowa, TCU, Tennessee, LTech, SMU, Ohio, and that's it. Then we go to 2 o'clock. Okay, so those 6 or 7 games are at noon that I just did. So let's focus on the noon games because it's 11:30. So Michigan, East Carolina. East Carolina should be pretty weak. Michigan, I don't know. They're just running the ball down your throat. And I don't think this first down rule, so they get a Iowa, yeah, they don't score a lot. Iowa team total under 14, minus 130. So I don't want to get into those. See, all those are just Ponzi schemes that they're running at you. What they're doing is they want more action, right? So the casino, how does they make money? The more you bet, the more you lose, the more they make. They come up with all this bullshit to get you away from what's reality. Oh, let's bet baseball. Let's bet the 5th inning. Who the fuck knows? I mean, can you pick the game or not? Here, it's the same thing. Nevada team total under 14. We don't know the quarterback yet. That's not a thing you want to do now. Now, maybe in week 3 or week 4, we can say, yeah, they're really bad. And maybe we can do it when they play in Iowa State or in Iowa, a good defensive team, or Georgia. But at this point, we don't know. We know USC does not have a very good defense. Hey, Bobby Bo, how are you? We're talking about you with there was a game that we were talking about. I can't remember right now. Anyway, so Michigan's got a very good defense. What do we take out of this game? Michigan wants to run. They'll throw a little bit. They're laying 35, which is a big number. East Carolina, we don't know. New quarterback. Probably won't do a lot on Michigan. Michigan plays that zone. And, so I anticipate like an Army-Navy game here. Michigan, I'm going to run and play defense. Won't be that many points. Michigan wins by 25, 30. This is a game Michigan wins like 47-0 against these weak non-conference teams at home, 100,000 people. So they go up and down the field and score, and then they kind of bring in their second and third team in the fourth quarter and just run the clock out. So they don't really play to put up that 60 points like Oklahoma does, like USC, some of these teams that want to put up a lot. So I don't know. I would think this game would be with the teaser 59.5. I don't think they're going to get there because I don't think East Carolina is going to score too much. And it's hard to play Michigan minus 35. Okay, you can go 29.5 in a teaser, but it's kind of hard. They could win by 28 very easily, 42-14. You win the under, but you lose the bet like USC did last week. They won by 28. They're laying 30. Now, in a teaser, you win, but the over was so much more easy. So, again, the key to an over is two good quarterbacks and kind of weak defenses. The key to the under is you got a running team in Michigan with a really good defense. East Carolina has a good offense, but the new quarterback. So, good luck. Your first game's at Michigan. And so I think that their offense is going to sputter. They won't score that much. So, I think it's more let's go under the 50, let's go under the 59. Now, here's why you don't bet money lines. The money line in this game is Michigan's 100,000 to win 100. But if I take East Carolina, then I would think, I bet 100, I'll win 100,000. No, you only win 8,000. This is the problem with money lines. They're fucked. The odds are fucked. You're getting 8,000 when you should be getting, either Michigan should be 100,000, then why isn't East Carolina 95? Or Michigan should only be 10,000. Maybe it's a misprint. Maybe it is 10,000, but it says 100,000 here. Michigan's defense is top tier. Yeah. What about the UTSA Houston over? Yeah, probably. We'll get to that one. Looks like it's about 60. Houston should have, I think, they got a new quarterback, so we got to see what he is. UTSA, love Frank Harris. They'll definitely put up a lot of points. I think Houston at 54. Yeah, Bobby, it should go over. Anyway, with Michigan, when you have a strong defense, the difference with Michigan versus Iowa State is Iowa State doesn't have a strong offense. Michigan does, but they're going to run it. How good's East Carolina do? They might run up the middle and go for a touchdown like they did against Ohio State. So I'll talk about that later. I was watching the Michigan-Ohio State game and the Ohio State-Alabama game because I wanted to understand C.J. Sprout and where was that against Michigan? And the short answer is Michigan played a zone defense and Georgia played a man-on-man and didn't get out of it. So it made Stroud look better than he is because, that shit's not going to work in the pros. So Michigan, the art of war, the strength of this game is Michigan's defense. Therefore, probably an under. They're not this pass-happy team like USC. They're going to be more run the clock, rest their defense. So I don't think they get over 59. Now, I'm just talking about the noon games right now, and then we'll talk about the others because it's 11:30. Liberty Bowling Green. I really have no idea. The money's been going on Bowling Green from 11 down to 7.5 over under. I got Bowling Green as a weak team with no defense, and I got Liberty kind of there. They've got the Coastal Carolina coach and Bennett, a new quarterback. So I think he transferred. So what do you do with them? So they'll probably be a higher scoring team, but will it be right away? Bowling Green's weak. I mean, they were a W. They don't score that much, and they don't have much defense. So now that Liberty's 7.5, maybe minus 1.5 is not a bad play, but how strong is Liberty, which we don't know. So this is kind of a wait and see. Arkansas State, Oklahoma, also at noon. Oklahoma 36.5, 57.5. I got Arkansas State as a W last year, so they didn't score. They got a new quarterback who I have listed as weak. So if I see, and when I'm reading my guide and it says, well, this quarterback, he's thrown 5 passes, then I call him weak until I see what he does in a game. So Arkansas State's not going to give you much help. Oklahoma 36.5. Both defenses are weak. So it's all up to, but you have 57.5. So I think over 51 here is a good play. I think Oklahoma does it by themselves. Maybe you get a touchdown from Ark State. Again, it's sort of like the Hawaii game last night. You don't have a good defense with Oklahoma. So Ark State could put up 14. Oklahoma will score 50, so that gets you over there. I think that's the best way to play the game. Purdue, Fresno State. Now, how good's Fresno State? The coach went to Washington. They had Hainer last year, so, I could coach the team. I just Hainer go out and throw touchdowns. So we'll see what they do this year. They're down to 3.5, so the money's went on Fresno State. And the over-under is 46.5, which makes no sense because they both normally are high-scoring teams, but Purdue's went to a defensive coach, but doesn't mean they're not going to still score points. And Fresno State had a good defense. Fresno State was an 8 team last year, Purdue an over team. So what do we need? We need 46.5. I can't believe this doesn't go over 40. Now, they're both new quarterbacks, so we have to see. But Fresno State's getting good quarterbacks. They always have. I mean, Carr and then Hainer and Carr's brother. I mean, so they always get good quarterbacks. Purdue, again, with a new quarterback. So just because they have look at the defensive coach went from Georgia to Oregon, they lit it up. And the Clemson defensive coordinator went to Oklahoma, and they lit it up. So just because it's a defensive coach doesn't necessarily mean it's an under. I think this is over 40. I think we should get there. Purdue, Fresno State, Northern Illinois, BC. BC's 8.5, 50.5. Neither team's got a defense. Northern Illinois has, I think, the better team. I think Northern Illinois and the points is the way to go in this game. Will it go over? I don't know. BC's such a bad offense. I'm not sure they're going to help, but I don't think they're going to score enough. You got 14.5 in Northern Illinois. I think that's a good way to go. So I think that's how you play this game. So you're always looking for what's the strength of the game, right? Michigan, it's an under, and USC go over with it. And then here it's the better teams, Northern Illinois, they're getting 8.5 from a team that can't score much. Okay, they go the dual quarterback because everybody is, but Northern Illinois runs the dual quarterback, so they know how to defend it. So, it's so used that it's overused, right? It's like when Oregon came out with the spread and everybody copied it. And then they learned how to defend it. Now you don't see it that much. So then it was the bubble screens to the receivers. Then everybody saw it. And now it's these dual quarterbacks who want to run. And then you just play a zone against it and the guy can't run. All right. So these are the noon games. Do we have one more? Yes. Jesus Christ. All right, Ball State, Kentucky, 25.5, 48.5. good defensive team. Ball State's an E team, so they score. It's like I can't define them. So they score 24, they give up 24, so they're not good enough to be an A, but they're not bad enough to be a Z. And they got a decent defense and a decent offense. Kentucky, new quarterback, the kid from Devlin from North Carolina State. And, so he wasn't that great at NC State. So I'm looking at this game. Kentucky's probably an under game. Kentucky's just going to play good defense. They're one of the strong. They gave up like 20 points a game. So I don't think Ball State's going to do too much against them, but Kentucky really doesn't let you up. That's not their style. So probably go under there. And Jesus Christ, 4 more games. God, everything's a doing. Iowa, Utah State. Iowa 23.5, 43.5. They got Cade McNamara, who is listed as probable today. But what's he going to bring to the table? He's a good quarterback. I liked him at Michigan. I thought it was stupid he left. I thought he was better than J.J. McCartney. Big pit there. So I don't know what he's going to, how explosive Iowa's going to be. I think they'll score a few more points, but I think it's their strong defense. Utah State, again, another W offense, and their quarterback's back. So I don't see Utah State putting up too many points. Iowa, maybe 20-10 in this game. So I like Iowa. I think you got to play an Iowa team under. Great defense. And it's just what they play to. See, you understand that the coach plays to the defense. Wisconsin used to do that. They would run the ball knowing we got the defense and we'll win the game 10-3. And that's what Iowa does. They win a lot of low-scoring games. So Iowa, I think you play this game under. It makes sense to play it under, that their defense will keep the score down. Colorado, TCU. The real D, Bowling Green, pretty weak. Yeah, okay. BC lost a lot of production. Okay, I like the over Kentucky game. I like it under. Kentucky's got a good defense, and they don't really light it up like Tennessee does. And who are they playing? Kentucky's playing Ball State. I mean, Ball State's not going to score a lot. So I'd be careful with that one. You'd have to actually give me a reason, because I don't know any reason I would bet that game over. All right, TCU, Colorado. So Colorado's 21, 63.5. As we talked, I don't think Coach Prime Time didn't have a defense at Jacksonville State last year. They lost the championship game, the only game I've ever seen. He had a pretty good offense, pretty spread. The defense sucked. So TCU is going to put 50 up. As I said, their quarterback and everything. So this probably will be a high-scoring game, but I don't know that they've seen a defense like TCU, who's got a very strong defense. Don't kid yourself. They're an A team. They're ranked 17. They should be ranked 5. They're a top 5 team. I don't know why they're done. They lost the receiver. Believe me, he got another receiver. Believe me, it's the coach who designs the plays that makes it run. Quarterback play has gone up because they got the starter back. And the coach just is a very strong offensive mind. So I think it's an over, and I think you take TCU to blow out Colorado, because Colorado doesn't have a defense. TCU does. Tennessee 26.5, 55. Virginia, the quarterback's gone. I think they got the VTech quarterback. Just got a new quarterback. Tennessee's got Milton from Michigan, who played the last few games last year and showed you it's the same system that Alabama and Ohio State do, where the quarterback it's a plug and play. Anybody can plug it. Anybody can play it. And you go from there. So, excuse me. So when you have a Josh Heupel and you have a Sonny Dykes at TCU and you have Washington's coach, wherever they go, they're going to be explosive, high scoring. And so that's what I'm expecting here. So 55.5, there's going to be a lot of points. It's a real tough one because it's 26.5. So that's kind of like hard to play Tennessee at Virginia. 55.5. Are you going to get enough points from Virginia to get over? But you can't play Tennessee under. They got the strong. They're going to keep going offensively. So it makes it very difficult to play them. Excuse me. It makes it very difficult to play like a Tennessee under or an Iowa over or, Iowa State over. You just can't do it, or Kansas under. It's not what you can do. Kansas put up a big number yesterday too. I saw they played Division II. So anyway, the real deal, you gotta give me an explanation why you like the over in the Kentucky game. I would have to bet it under if I was betting it. So Tennessee, I'd probably play over in the game. Maybe you get some points from Virginia. Tennessee's defense isn't that good. It's all right, but I don't see them shutting out Virginia. SMU 21.5, 66.5. That spread just jumped from 20.5 to 21. Tech had a big problem with Florida International beating them 22-17. Now, on one hand, they played a game already. On the other hand, they played a high school team and needed a touchdown at the end to win. SMU, good quarterback in Stone. Tech, Bachfire from Boise, threw 3 interceptions to Florida International last week. This is 66, so they got to score 60. SMU is going to put up 50 here. And the question is, Tech, what do they do? So you can probably get away with over 60, or you can get away with SMU. They always score, and I don't think Tech is that strong of a team, judging by the Florida International game. So go Pony Express. And that's it. Okay, that's the new. So there's like 8 noon games. And what pisses me off is I write the schedule down. Like I already wrote week 2 down. And then they start fucking around with them because of the TV. And they move the bottom teams up into the middle and the middle to the end. Like my Army was the first game listed. Now they're playing at night. And now I don't get them till near the end of the thing. It's fucking ridiculous what they do. Anyway, so now these are 2. Well, this starts 2:00 and then after, so we got time for that. Let's go. We've got Temple 9.5, 55 against Akron. Temple's a W team and Akron's a Z team. So neither team's got a defense. Neither team's really got an offense. They both have returning quarterbacks, but I don't know what that means. I don't. How is Temple going to win? 9.5, but Akron doesn't score. Is it an under? 55.5. Maybe it's an under, but both teams kind of have weak defenses, but they don't have offenses to score. So it's a really tricky thing here. This is a game I would not touch with a 10-foot ball. I wouldn't bet it with Bobby's money. I mean, I don't know which way to go. Akron's a Z team. I can't bet on them. Temple can't score 10 points. Maybe it's an under, but neither team's really got a defense. So it's nothing fits in this game. So we let it go. All right. Then we get to Ohio State, 29.5, 59.5 against Ohio State will score a lot. New quarterback. Same offense. It doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. I think Michigan's figured them out. The reason Michigan could handle them is they played zone, and Stroud couldn't run. Georgia played man-on-man, and Stroud ran on him. That's why he looked so good. So Houston made a big mistake because they think Stroud's a runner or whatever, but I watched the Michigan game to try to figure out what the fuck's with this Stroud guy. What is he against Michigan? He looked like shit, and then he goes and looks good against Georgia. And the key was he ran against Georgia because they played the man-to-man, and all the receivers ran deep. It was like Oklahoma. All the receivers ran deep, and then he ran around, and Georgia really wasn't blitzing them until near the end when they needed to. Georgia didn't run the same defense they ran against Tennessee. Their best player was injured. The big lineman was gassed, so two of their best NFL players were not in there a lot. So with that said, Ohio State is pissed, right? They lost to Georgia, so they got pride. They were pissed last year. They still couldn't beat Michigan, so I don't think they can beat Michigan with this coach. I think he doesn't know how to – his offense is not going to work against his own defense that Michigan runs, and Michigan, you can run down their throats like Michigan did, and Ohio State can't do anything. They're not made – they're like the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning. Manning would throw, so Indy ran a defense against passers, right? That's why they had the defensive end who was great. I can't think of his name right now, but they were, I'm going to pressure we'll be up 10 points, so we're going to put pressure on the quarterback. That was what Tony Dungy, the genius, did. I'm just kidding about that. He was a terrible coach. And then, so you have that, but then you could run on Indy. So that's why Pittsburgh beat Indy with Jerome Bettis, right? They ran it down their throats, and Indy couldn't stop it. So that's what Ohio State is. You can run down their throat. Georgia did. Anytime Georgia needed a big play, they ran it down their throat. So the only reason that Stroud looked good against Georgia was he ran against that. So these idiot GMs are making him the second quarterback pick for Houston. Good fucking luck, Houston. You're not going to see that in the pros. We already see Lamar running and we see Hurts running, and okay, we've seen it. We know how to defend it. It's not going to work. Fields, we'll see him get busted up pretty good if he keeps trying to do it. The real D, my reasoning being why I like Kentucky game over is I think the line kind of low and Kentucky getting their old offensive coordinator back, but make it small parlay. The OU Arkansas State over don't look too bad, Professor. Yeah, well, that's what I said. I think the question is how good is Arkansas State's defense? I don't think it's that. But I don't think Oklahoma's defense is that good. But we'll see. Does their new coach, the Clemson defensive coordinator, start getting in Clemson defensive players, and all of a sudden their defense is better? If this was a Texas game, I would say no, because they have a good defense. So I still think he's going to have problems with the defense. I think Oklahoma puts up a 50. So like I say, I think that's 50. 58, so 52. Yeah, it's probably, I think that's doable because I think Oklahoma puts up 50 on them. They're probably pissed off. They're looking at Texas. So whoever they play the week before Texas, let's see, you got to be careful with because they're going to be looking at the Texas game. So let's go there. Let's go to the Big 12. Okay, so Oklahoma. So the week before Texas, they play my Iowa State team. There's your upset. Iowa State's going to beat Oklahoma because Oklahoma is going to be thinking about Texas. And they're playing the wrong team the week before Texas, which is Iowa State. Iowa State, very well coached team. They will get them. All right. So, yeah, Dwight Freeney. Yeah. So they were not good run stoppers. So if they played Jerome Bettis, they were fucked. And that's why they lost to Pitt in that game. And some of the other games was good running. And if you got behind and played throw, then they would sack you. Exactly. So the problem I have with Kentucky game is the over-under's, 48, so 42. How are you going to get there? Kentucky doesn't score that much. So maybe they put up a 40 on Ball State, you're figuring. All right. Ball State's pretty weak. They might shut them out. Kentucky's got a very good, so it's 49.5. So you're laying 43.5. So give me the score. All right. So you got Kentucky 38, Ball State. You need a touchdown, 38-7. You're going to get the touchdown by Ball State. Kentucky's got a really good defense. Are you going to get 38 from Kentucky? So what I'm saying is Kentucky plays a good defense. You're probably at most getting 10 from Ball State, and then probably from Kentucky you're getting 28. They don't light it up. They're going to run the ball a lot. So it becomes a 28-10, something like that. You're not going to get a 50 from Kentucky. Okay, the old offensive coordinator, you got the quarterback from NC State who did shit there. So maybe, but you like it because the number's low and all you got to do is go over 43.5, but analyze the game. You don't, where are you going to get the points? Neither team scores a lot. It's like Iowa or Iowa State. I mean, where are you going to get the points? They don't score and they play great defense. So it's almost like Iowa State going to shut you out and then they score 14 points. That's it. That's all they try to do. So they run the clock and play defense and shut you out and pick you off. So it's like we went under in the Minnesota-Nebraska game. I didn't fuck around with the over. I never thought about, is it 44.5? I went under 50. I didn't go over 38. I never thought about it. Minnesota's an under team. Iowa's an under team. Iowa State's an under team. Georgia, an under team. You don't even think about them for over. They're probably going to shut out the other team. That's just what you have there with those defenses. Like Bobby's saying, Oklahoma and or USC, you never think under. It's over or nothing. It's either like today, you either go over with USC or you take USC and you lay the 32. But you never think about going under with it because they're just going to keep scoring. Same thing with the Oklahoma. They're going to put up probably 50. And you got probably a low number there because you do have 58. And you're probably not going to see Oklahoma under the mid-60s a lot. So, yeah, this is probably a good spot. But Arkansas State doesn't really bring a good offense to the table. And Oklahoma gets the lead. They're going to be blitzing and, so you got to hope for the pick six and, the strip sack touchdown. You need a couple touchdowns from Oklahoma's defense. So that's the problem when you don't when we had San Jose State and USC over last week. San Jose State has a good quarterback, Cordero, and they put up 28 points. So they helped you. USC put up their 50, but we still needed to get into the 60s. He gave us 28. We got into the 80s. So you need the quarterback to score on the other team for you to get over. You don't have it with Ball State. You don't really have it. Arkansas State, maybe. We'll see. I mean, you hope they can when it's the fourth quarter and Oklahoma's got their fourth string out there that they can score. That's probably it. Same thing with Michigan. I mean, East Carolina, late in the fourth might get a touchdown, but otherwise Michigan's just going to, kill them with defense. So anyway, So Ohio State, Indiana. The question here is Indiana. Yeah, I agree with you, Bobby. You got Oklahoma. The question is Arkansas State. Are you going to have enough from Arkansas State to get over? Or maybe Oklahoma gets you all the over, right? They could. In college, 50, 60 points by a team's nothing. In the pros, if you get more than 24, you're happy, unless it's Kansas City or Cincinnati. So Ohio State, 29.5, 59.5. New quarterbacks for both teams. Ohio State's pissed off. Again, their defense is a little shaky. So I pick a score. Ohio State will be in the 40s, probably a 49. Indiana maybe 7's 56. So, yeah, I can see this game going over because it's kind of a low number. 59 goes 50s. And again, we always talk teasers, 53.5. We get 45, so 47-7 is an over. And I think Ohio State. Now, the question is, you got a brand new quarterback, is he going to catch on? But I don't think these quarterbacks at Ohio State really, they all seem to catch real quickly. They all, the first game's not a big deal. That's what they practice. Again, it's a bullshit offense that it's a plug and play that any quarterback who can kind of throw the ball is successful in it. And then he goes into the pros and he's got to read defenses and then he gets fucked. Look at Fields, and Stroud's going to be the same way. Anyway, so I think this game goes over. Wisconsin, Buffalo, and Wisconsin's really the Riddler today. The question mark. Mordecai and the offense is going to be wide open, I think. And their defense is going to hurt because they're not going to rest as much. Buffalo's a very good team. Buffalo, I believe, is where the fuck are they? Buffalo's an over team, so they don't have much defense, but they can score. Their quarterback is back. He's not bad. Fickle did run a good defensive team at Cincinnati, which Wisconsin is. But I think Buffalo can score. I think Buffalo gets 14, and I think Wisconsin probably puts up 40. So you got a 56. So I think this could be an over. Again, Wisconsin plays a very good defense, but that's running the ball. They get rest. They're not going to get rest if this is a true SMU offense, right? We're going to run Mordecai and 4 receivers, and we're going to throw and throw and throw. This will be very interesting. So that's why it's a question mark. This probably should go over if Mordecai is throwing like he's at SMU, and we're going to get an SMU result. But right now, I don't know. So this is kind of watch and see. We got to watch Wisconsin. Their defense will go down a little bit because they're not going to get the rest. And that's always the problem with the passing. That's why SMU never has a defense. So let's watch that. Washington, 14.5, 58.5. Boise has got 2 strong runners and a strong running quarterback are going to run it down Washington's throat, keep Penix off the field. Penix is explosive. Boise does have a good defense for that standpoint. So it's going to be a very difficult it's going to be, I think, a very competitive game. I don't think Washington blows them out at any point. When you can run, you can win because you get into the red zone, you're going to hand it off, and you're going to score touchdowns. That's just why you need running. It's mostly for the right because you don't have any room to throw. You're at the 5-yard line. Where are you going to throw the ball? So look for this game to be very competitive. I think Boise could win? Well, maybe. I think Washington wins, but I think it's going to be in the 30s, I think it's 31-30, 31-28, somewhere. Washington doesn't have the defense. What do I got Washington? Now they're an over team. They don't have the defense to handle Boise's running. So this game gets very high scoring. So, yeah, over 52 for sure. 14.5. I wouldn't lay that. I'm not sure I would lay. I never thought of laying 8.5 in this game. Probably you could take Boise and 20.5, and you probably got a pretty good play. Again, the quarterbacks transferred out. The new one was there last year. He was pretty good. Boise was a very good team last year. So don't think Washington's going to kill them. Auburn, Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas. Auburn 35.5, 51.5. So you gave Hawaii way too much credit, cut the spread from 9-3, and they lost by 13. Are you doing the same thing with UMass, cutting it from 38.5 to 35.5, over under a 51? You've got the Michigan State quarterback as the Auburn starter. He's good. That I know. I honestly, looking at it now, 51.5. Oh, I got Auburn. Auburn, I think I love the over in this game. I think Auburn puts up 50 points by themselves. I think UMass maybe gets 10 or 14. I think Auburn, UMass exposes themselves. Okay, this is what they do. Auburn sees Alabama run it. They see LSU run it. It ain't a surprise. They don't want to get beat by UMass. They can't afford to. They got to play Alabama and LSU and Georgia. They're not losing to UMass. So this is a big game at home opener. This is definitely an over. I might actually bet it myself. Auburn over. 45.5. I guarantee you Auburn gets 45.5 by themselves. With Peyton at quarterback, and Mass's defense still sucks. They got lucky and they got the pick six and the interception. Well, they're not going to get that here. I know Don Brown likes to blitz, but Auburn probably is going to run, and this is not New Mexico State. So UMass is celebrating we won a game, first time in 5 years, but not here. And now the spread's down to 35.5. You can probably take Auburn there. This is way too much overreaction. And I like Auburn's, again, they're not reacting to Peyton Thorne, the Michigan State quarterback, starting here. He started at Michigan State. He played Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. So it's not like he hasn't seen big games, and this is UMass. So definitely I like Auburn, and I like the game over. I would not touch UMass. They're emotionally spent after their big win against New Mexico State. And it's not a revenge pick. West Carolina, 12.5, 70.5. South Florida, an over team. Score a lot, no defense. Western Kentucky, do they have their quarterback back? Their quarterback is back on both teams. A new coach for South Florida, but what's he going to do? They'll probably keep running the offense, which did score a lot, but Western Kentucky actually had a really good defense last year. There was no way I would touch this 70.5. Now, here's where we get looking at Oklahoma, Ohio State's in the 50s, right? And we go, well, that's probably bettable because these college games all end up higher scoring. You know what it's like, Bobby? The as we talk about gold, like going to the moon, like it's going to just explode. And as Egon said, it's, after 45 minutes, it's only 7%. And in the last 5 minutes, it floods the stadium. And that's what happens in football, especially college. It's going around 7-7, and all of a sudden it's 28-7. All of a sudden it explodes. And that's why you tend to get a lot of points in these college games and a lot more overs. I don't see that here. Western Kentucky, I see the 50s I'm talking about, Oklahoma, Ohio State in the 50s, yes. USC is a 66. If any game should be a 70, USC. I don't get South Florida, Western Kentucky. This number is too high. Avoid. Even though it might go high, South Florida will probably score, but they don't have a defense. And Western Kentucky's, we know, is always a good offensive team. So where if this was a 58 or a 60, we would probably lock the over in the game. Western Kentucky's got too good of a defense to get this. When I go over, it's UCLA against USC, two explosive offenses with no defense. But that's not what you got here. You've got Western Kentucky with a good defense. So you can. This is not a game to go over with. So I don't think it gets there. Rice in Texas, that's the freebie. Take Texas. They boil Rice 35.5, 58.5. Texas wins by, they'll put up a 50 at least. Manning comes in. He's going to put up a couple touchdowns. That's the ace in the hole. They'll come out and they'll probably get up 35-0 at half. And then here comes Manning, and now it's 56-0. Maybe Rice scores a little bit, but probably over 52.5. But I don't see Rice doing anything. They don't. I think they're a Z team. They're a W, so they have no offense and no defense. So Texas, it's a game. Texas always blows out Rice in. They play every year. Texas blows them out every year. It's a feel-good game for Texas. So I don't lay the 29, and by half you'll be like, oh, that's a win. Who's next? Let's see these division. Notre Dame plays 10s today. Was that Tennessee Southern or something? Notre Dame's laying 49. It's funny, they're laying 49 and the total is 54. What the fuck is that all about? And I would probably take Notre Dame to cover it. Cal 5.5. I don't really talk when they play the Division II teams. I don't know the Division II teams. You really get. I don't know if you can even find places to take the bets. At William Hill, you can't. So I don't waste time on it. California 5.5, 53.5 to North Texas. North Texas is bringing in the air raid. A Mike Leach assistant is coaching it. California really doesn't score much. Here, I think that North Texas wins this game straight out. So there's two dogs I think win straight out, Northern Illinois and North Texas. I think Cal is a very weak team. They're on the road, and North Texas, good offense, Mike Leach coach type. I just 31-30 type of game. Oh, here you go, Bobby. Colgate and Syracuse. So Syracuse is playing Colgate. Somebody asked me about them. Yeah, they're playing Division II. Georgia's playing T-Mart. Georgia's laying 51.5, over under 58.5. So there you probably go under with Georgia. 58.5 against T-Mart. This is good though because Georgia gets to play their quarterback, see what they got, and the defense we know, and they're going to run the ball. And but this is good for the new quarterback. He gets this game as he gets ready for. Let's look at Georgia's schedule. SEC, Georgia, Big Georgia. SOPQRS. All right, Georgia. So Georgia starts off with UT Martin. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. So how does UT Martin end up at T-Mart? Good God. Then they got Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, at Auburn, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and then finally Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, and then at Tennessee. God, they got nothing. Their only game is really Florida, which we saw is not that good. Tennessee, at Tennessee, which they'll pound, and at Georgia Tech, Kentucky, at Auburn. Okay, so we're going to be betting them under every week because they're going to be laying 35 and 40, and they're not. They're more of a power team. So the real D, I got to come up with a name for you. The real DeMarque OVO. How'd you come up with that name? This year, Professor, can't wait to build my bankroll so I can have women in Europe like you. Yeah, there's nothing like the women in Europe. They're much better than the U.S. women, that we know. So, yeah, build the bankroll, but be smart about it. This is like me, Bobby, and Nick, and some of the guys were buying gold and silver, right? So when you get to that part of the class, you'll understand it. And right now it's low, and we're all like, when's it going to go up? When's it going to go up? and it's going to go up. That's just like here. You just invest a little bit, you build the bankroll. You don't, if your bankroll is $5,000, you never want to bet $5,000 on the game. Injuries can happen, turnovers can happen. You cannot, it's not, even though you think, like I think Ohio State's going to win the game, put up 50 points today. It's still not allowed. What if the quarterback gets injured the first play? Now you're fucked. So that's why it's just bet a little, build the bankroll. Then you can bet more. There's always 10, 15 games I can play every week. I think I played about 10 games this week, just in college. Wait till the pros start next week. I always find at least 7 or 8 pro games, and then you got your college games. Pro is going to be easy. We're just going to bet against C.J. Stroud. We're going to bet against Richardson. I was watching Richardson against Utah last year, wondering how the hell they beat him. And he ran a lot, but it was the first game, and Utah they probably didn't know who he was, and he just ran. He didn't throw for shit. He just ran. And then when Georgia got him, he couldn't. They were just they just blitzed the hell out of him because they knew he couldn't throw. That's what he's going to get in the pros, right? When you play Indy, you just blitz him. He can't run on you. That's what you do with Fields. That's what you do with Lamar, and that's what you do with Hurts. You just blitz them because they haven't gotten their speed, right? They're going back to pass. All of a sudden, here's the defense. That's what I love about Philly with the Georgia defense and the Niners. They're just going to get at the quarterback. He's got to throw it away. I saw Richardson in the Georgia game must have thrown the ball away 10 times where he just is going down. He's throwing it. He's not accurate. He's throwing it into the stands. I mean, he had no idea how to handle a blitz. He had no idea to call an audible and tell his tight end, just turn around. They're blitzing. I'm going to throw it to you. He had no idea what to do. And neither did Ohio State. At the end of the game, C.J. Stroud makes that long run because they're all playing man on man. And then he goes back to pass. He doesn't read the blitz. And he almost gets sacked for a 20-yard loss, and he just throws the ball away. He didn't know how to read a blitz. If he did, he would have just checked it down and just taken 2 steps and thrown it. That's what Brady does. That's what Marino does. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. But Josh Allen doesn't do that. Fields can't do that. Stroud won't do it. See, they don't teach that at Ohio State. They can't be good in the pros. So if you put pressure on these guys, these are joke games. Richardson and Stroud just bet against them, and Fields. The whole thing. Maybe Fields isn't over, but he's figured out, the best way is if I run. You're a quarterback. All right, so that's what we do. All right, USC 38.5, 63.5. We talked about. Again, I like USC over the over. I don't know what Nevada's going to give me, and it's 63.5, so 57.5. I get 50 from USC. What am I getting from Nevada? But I think I might get 60 from USC and nothing from Nevada. It's going to be a bloodbath. So I guess it's either way. You can lay 32 winner. Maybe you get a winner with 57, but it's because USC gets you 60 points. So I don't know. They put up 56 last week against San Jose State. Nevada's far worse, so should be a very high. USC is going to get 50 of the 63. So your choice. I probably would take USC versus the over, because the over, you need the other team. You need both teams scoring for the over. There's a lot of overs I've lost when one team gets 40 points and the other team then is fucked, and then they just keep blitzing and they keep the other team can't score for you. You end up you needed another touchdown, but I'm up 45 points, so I'm not trying for it. I'm just killing the clock. The other team just throws 4 incompletions and you're fucked. So sometimes you're better off playing the team when you're playing a real bad team. But anyway. Baylor 27.5, 59.5. Texas State. They're really a U team. They really don't score much, have a fairly good defense. Good luck stopping Baylor. supposedly they're going to this Mikey Keene. I think it's Mikey Keene. I think he's on another team. I can't read my scribble. It's a air raid offense with no defense is what I wrote. So this should be probably an over with Baylor here. Texas State will try to score 53.5. Again, in the 50s, I think we take Baylor over here. Washington State, Colorado State. Now, this spread keeps going down. It's now 9.5. It was 10.5, minus 9.5. And 54.5. I don't know what's going on, why this spread's going down and down and down. But I think I got to like it under. Washington State's too strong defensively. Colorado State doesn't bring anything. Colorado State's a Z team, so I got to bet against the Z team. I think Washington State handles the 9.5 and handles under 60.5 in this case. So again, there's strong points defense. They got a weak quarterback in Cameron Ward. He runs, but he's not. He's like Kyler Murray, but he can't throw. So they don't score a lot, but they play defense. So I think this is an under. New Mexico and A&M. A&M 38.5, 49.5. New Mexico is a good defensive team, no offense. A&M doesn't score much, but have switched to Bobby Petrino. But does that take effect week 1 or week 8? This is the problem. We don't know. I don't think week 1. I think they win, maybe they get into the 20s. Maybe, you're not going to get scoring from New Mexico here. Put it that way. Over under 49.5. I would say this is still an under 55.5. A&M, it's 38.5. It's just too many points. It's hard for a team that doesn't score much to be laying 38.5. Right? How are they going to score? So if New Mexico gets 7, now I need to get into the 40s with the team that doesn't score 40 points. So that's your problem. So does Petrino get them that? I don't know. It's probably an under game. UTSA, Houston, UTSA 1.5, 59.5. We talked about. I think it's an over. You got Frank Harris. Love Frank Harris. Houston. Pretty a good coach in Dana Halberstam. So they score a lot. Not a great defense. Houston's an over. UTSA's an over team. So, I can see this game going over 59.5. The Army, that's our second pick. So I gave you Utah. You got Texas, and here's Army to third. Army laying 8.5, so it's a good number. We can get 2.5, 46.5. I like the Army here. UL Monroe has a new quarterback, like UMass, one of these dual threats. That Army saw Hartman and McCall last year, so it's not like they haven't seen this. Lou Monroe sucks. Army beat them 48-13 last year, and I'm sure Lou Monroe hasn't figured out what to do. So again, you don't know with all the transfers and portals, but again, it's like my UMass comment. Who's running to UL Monroe? I mean, so if you're getting a guy from Arizona like UMass, how good was he to leave Arizona to go to Mass? Of course, with these NILs, maybe they paid him a lot, but basically, where's UMass getting money to pay players? So I like Army. They're a very strong defensive team, well coached, new offensive coordinator. I like a lot. I don't think they'll have any trouble winning by 17, 20 points. Shutting down UL Monroe, playing 10-minute drive Army football, where UL Monroe will see the ball once a quarter. So they get 5 drives, and they got to score on probably 3 of them. So good luck there. Again, I just like Army. They're the better team, better coached. So they'll lay 2.5 there. North Carolina, South Carolina. North Carolina 2.5, 63.5. Both offenses are good. Both quarterbacks are good. Both defenses suck. I see an over here, 63.5, 57.5. Both teams should hit in the 30s, if not the 40s. Both good quarterbacks. I also would like the dog. I think it's an even game, and you know how I am. When both teams are even, I like the dog here. So it's South Carolina at 8.5, over 57.5. Either way, choose your poison. Illinois, Toledo, Illinois, 9.5, 45.5. Illinois, we know with the great defense. Again, it's like Iowa, Iowa State. Take this game under 51.5. What are you going to do with it? I don't like Toledo's a good MAC team. Like I think they win the MAC, or they're very strong in it. So when a team that doesn't score that much, like Illinois, it's hard to lay points. I think of the Michigan game last year. I think it was 20-17 against Michigan. It was very low scoring. I had the under there. So I think you got to it's Illinois, go under. It's Iowa, go under. I mean, I think that's all you can do. We had the under in the Minnesota game, which was 13-10. I think you're looking at something like that. When you got a good defense, they play, right? When you got a good quarterback, he starts turning the ball over. There's turnovers, but with you got a good defense, they just play good defense. Like Georgia, they just shut you down. So it's a lot easier to play a good defense than a good quarterback who might turn it over. So I like the under in this game. Do you ever bet any future bets? No, I have no interest in those. Wow, horrible start to the TCU game at Colorado. He just marched down the field, sleaze of a touchdown after TCU 3 and out. It's early. I'm not worried about that. What do you think about Army 3.5 in Texas? Well, you should be able to get Army 2.5, and those are my free picks. So yeah, I mean that's why they're free picks. So I'm giving you a good pick to bet on as the free pick. So yeah, I mean that's what I've done, Army and Texas. But I think you can get 2.5. But if not, yeah, that's what I did. Remember, Bobby, there's 4 quarters. Like there's 9 innings to a baseball game, so don't worry about it. But TCU will adjust, and that's why I said maybe it's an over. We'll see, but they're not going to shut TCU down the whole way. Again, it's the new quarterback, but they'll come on. Texas Tech 13.5, 15.5. Wyoming, a good defensive team. Texas Tech, good offensive team. I tend to look at defense over offense usually, so probably over under 50.5. Probably stays under. When Texas Tech plays Iowa State, they don't play high scoring. And so I think this is kind of like that. Wyoming, good defensive team. I think Texas Tech probably does cover the 7.5, but they don't have the defense, so I don't like that number. I think it's a little too high to take Tech, but I think I would go under, even though it's Texas Tech. Because Wyoming's not going to give you a lot of points. Alabama, 39.5, 51.5. I don't like Alabama. We got to see their quarterback. He's very bad. So let's watch that one. It's too big of a number without a quarterback. Middle Tennessee State, maybe they score a little bit. 51.5, maybe you can go over 45.5 in an Alabama game. Seems logical. Now TCU threw a pick in the end zone. My God, can this get any worse? 4 quarters, Bobby, 4 quarters. Maybe do what I do. Go to a different TV, change your shirt. I put on my Michigan sweatshirt for the Utah game, but I didn't watch the game. I just waited till the end, looked at the score, and said, yeah, we won. So I'll be going swimming after this and then General Chow. So, I'm very superstitious. So you obviously need to change clothes. This is why I didn't bet that game, because you don't really know. So I didn't play TCU. I did think over TCU. We'll see. But they'll settle down. Is Deion playing in the game? Penn State 20.5, 48.5. Penn State I think the spread's a little too high. West Virginia, they both have new quarterbacks, but I think it's a rivalry type game. So I like the 26.5 here, over under 48.5. I don't know. I don't know how good the quarterbacks are, if they're going to score a lot, but I would say West Virginia and 26.5 is the best play here. Old D, VTech, both from Virginia. It's a rivalry game. VTech 15.5, 47.5. VTech doesn't have any offense. I don't know how they're going to cover 15.5. Old D's pretty bad. I think it's an under with VTech's an under team, so under 53.5. Tulane 6.5, 51.5 against South Alabama. This is my game of the week. I love both teams are very strong. I like the dog in this game. 2 A teams. South Alabama almost beat UCLA last year, so I'm not really concerned. I think this is a close game. South Alabama could easily win. Tulane was good last year. Let's see if, can they? Usually what happens, it's like we talked the Florida State game when they beat Auburn, and then all the players left to go to the pros, and then the next year Winston sucked and Florida State didn't come back. So that's the beauty of college football. You graduate the players. So this should be a real close game. I like the dog in the game. BYU, Sam Houston. I have no idea. Sam Houston, we have no idea. We're going to find out. It's sort of like the Colorado game. We're going to find out how good Colorado is, and then we'll go from there. UCLA, Coastal Carolina. I like this game over. You got McCall against whoever for UCLA. UCLA will score. This game will be 37-35. Easily get into the 70s, and neither team really has a defense. We know McCall is a great quarterback. We don't know what UCLA is, who their quarterback is, but we know they'll score because they've got Hicks, the coach, he'll bring in a lot of points. So you're going to get a lot of points in this game. So I like this game. I like the over because you have two good offensive teams, and neither of them play defense. It's the perfect over. Northwestern, Rutgers. Northwestern's coach is gone. Rutgers 6.5, 40.5. What can I say? I mean, both teams suck. It's already a 40.5, so you go under 46. I think is the only way. Rutgers with Shiano will play a good defense. Northwestern. So I think this is an under game. I don't know where you're going to get 20 points from. Oregon State, San Jose State. Again, you got Uglia Buglia at Oregon State. He sucks. San Jose State has a good quarterback, so they can score. Oregon State had a great defense last year. Let's see if it's still there. So we got to watch. First blush, I would it's hard to bet this game under with San Jose State's quarterback, but they just played USC, so I think getting 22 with San Jose State is probably a pretty good play there. And Bobby's game, LSU, Florida State, LSU, 2.5, 55.5. I like Florida State, and I like the under in the game. And Clemson, Duke, Clemson, 12.5, 55.5. I like Duke in 18.5. They're both A teams. This spread's way too high. Duke, Riley Leonard, very good quarterback, and I think this game stays over under, I'm not sure. Probably more under, but Riley Leonard's good. I think Duke in 18 is a big number. So that is that. We looked at injuries the other day. I'm not going to look at it today. Just for you, we'll look at the gold prices. See, this is what gets me. 4 prominent growth stocks you'll regret not buying in the wake of the NASDAQ bear market dip. Well, the point is, you've got to ask yourself, well, why did the market drop? What's causing the market to drop? So just because it dropped, I should buy it on the dip because I don't know why it's dropping? the first thing you need to do is know why it's dropping. Well, it's dropping because of the recession. It's dropping because of the inflation and the high interest rates. Why would you then buy stocks in this environment? So, as I stated in the Utah game, the line dropped from 7 to 4.5, and I said, why? Oh, Rising's not playing now. Okay. So you have to understand what's going on. So why would you just buy, 4 prominent growth stocks you'll regret? See, anybody reading this, you've got to understand who's saying this to you. And then, are they any good? People can give you football picks, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You want to bet, you'll lose money. So that's what you got to be careful with, is who's saying this, what's his background. Does he know what he's talking about? But you don't even want to do that. You want to know on your own what to do. And what I tell you, because of this being worthless, you don't want to be in stocks, because all the foreigners are going to dump the stocks, like supposedly they're doing in China. But China really doesn't have a stock market, so I don't buy any of that shit. China does not. They get into real estate and gold. They don't get into stocks because it's controlled by the government. So I think anything going on there is just bullshit. But here, all the foreigners are going to sell their stocks, so the stocks are going down. Right now, they're being put up by them printing money and putting the money into the stocks of the foreigners, and they're putting it in a safe haven. That's why there's 5 stocks going up and 1,000 stocks dropping. So there's no reason to buy a stock. If you want to make money, you buy gold and silver. You can't lose, but you'll never see that. What do you see? Oh, buy these stocks on the dip. Well, that's the worst thing you can do. There's a reason they dropped, and you got to be careful of it. Should Apple be a buy or a hold for end of August? Who gives a fuck? Get out of it. Google will charge $30 per user for AI in Gmail and Meet. Well, I ain't paying anything. I don't want anything to do with AI. Let's see. 5 delicious dishes to try on a trip to Portugal. I went to Portugal. I didn't find any delicious dishes. That's not true. I found ribs the last day at this rib place. All right, so let's see. Gold. So gold's at 1940 here as of yesterday, up from 1880, and we got to get rid of these derivatives, but that's what's happening there. So that's your college for today. Again, so Bobby bet on TCU, and they're down, 14-0. I guess they threw a pick in the end zone. So the starting quarterback apparently doesn't, he's rusty or is not getting the offense. So they'll have to go to a new quarterback, or he's got to figure out what the fuck to do, or they're blitzing and he can't read a blitz. But again, for Bobby, this should be a very small bet. We're not going to win every bet. So the first thing you got to realize is, so you got, let's say you got a $10,000 bankroll. Let's say 5,000, which probably most of my students probably have a 5,000 or so. And again, this is extra money after working and paying your bills. This is okay. I got this much money. I can afford to lose it. So that's your first thing. You put money, you got to be careful. So you make money. So you make $100. You've got bills with $60, leaves you $40 left. Now I'm going to invest it. So I can play football games. I can buy stocks. I want the 40 to grow. So if we put it in terms of, let's call it 4,000, we have 4,000. That's our bankroll. So what do we bet? So we bet 40 on this type of TCU game. We bet $25. And if it loses, it loses. We must understand it's going to lose. Now, some of the games will lose. That's why we bet streaks. But if you play stocks, do you think you buy a stock, it always goes up? I mean, you can't. If you go with Madoff, do you think it never ends? If you play craps, do you think the 7 never hits? If you play a real estate trust, like the guy on Attack on Wall Street, do you think it never goes to 0? So there's always both sides of it. It's not we're going to win every game. You can't think like that. You just got to understand we're going to win more than we lose. And so that's why it's small bets that at the end of the day, we made $200 and now we got $4,200 in the bankroll. And then when this is why I don't fuck around with TCU games. I want to bet on Texas and Army because those are big. I want to bet a lot on Utah because that one I love. This one I don't love. TCU, Colorado, I don't love the game. It's too big of a spread. I don't know about Coach Prime and the whole thing. There's too much unknown. I don't want to bet unknown. I want to bet known. I knew the game with Rising, they were going to kill them. And they killed them without Rising. But without Rising, I knew it was an under, and I bet it appropriately. So I had Utah, and then I bet it under. And I was sure of that, and I bet a lot on it. And that's where you're trying to go to. That's why I do the locks, and I do the games in smaller units and bigger units. So really what you want to do is you bet a lot more on the big unit games and the locks, and then a little bit on, so then I look at maybe Ohio State over, okay, but I don't love it because Indiana doesn't really score, but I'll play it very small. Or I might play, South Carolina, I might play South Carolina or the over. It's probably a good over bet, so I'll play that, but I'm not going to. So I could play an Ohio State over, South Carolina, North Carolina over teaser, but it's not going to be huge. Not like last week's USC over Notre Dame. That was a lot bigger bet. So once you gear in on the games, as I say, it's the same reward. You're going to get 11 to 10. You bet 110 to win 100. It doesn't matter. You're picking it. So the ones that you're more comfortable with, that you have a better idea of, that's what you want to bet more on. And some of these games, you got to be careful. TCU, Colorado, you got to be careful with it. Even if TCU wins, and I'm sure they will, you've got to, there's too much unknown. That's why I say, we're just going to watch Alabama, Middle Tennessee, because I don't know Alabama's quarterback's supposed to stink. Can they even get 39 points? So we're going to see some of these teams. We want to see UCLA's quarterback. We want to see Virginia. I don't know what they are. Tennessee, I have an idea. SMU, Lou Tech. SMU, I know, is a good quarterback. They'll score a lot. So the teams that are unknown, Wisconsin's going to an air raid. Well, let's wait and watch. And that's really what you're trying to learn. Pros, we have a little bit better, but they're still jumping around in the pros that we've got to see. Like the Lions lost the running back. They bring on this guy from Alabama who's not going to do anything. And they bring their second round picks, a tight end from Iowa. Yeah, good luck, Lions winning. Like I said, I don't think they win. Maybe they win 4 or 5 games. That's it. You can't lose a running back who gets you 17 touchdowns and just replace it. It doesn't work like that. So we will see. TCU throws a pick. Yeah, could it get any worse? You forgot to say after buying metals. What about it? It pays your bills, buy metals, then wager. Okay, well, you got it, Bobby. Do you like the over LSU Florida State teasing 10 points. No, I don't like Candy. I like the game under because you got two very strong defenses in the game. If you're going to play that, I would either play Florida State with the 10 points or go under with the 10 points. Me, myself, I would prefer to play the South Alabama Tulane, take the dog there with the 10, and or maybe UTSA Houston over. It's a much better game to go over. You've got to look at the teams. LSU and Florida State have very strong defenses. They're not going to just run up and down the field. As we see from Georgia, Alabama in that game, when Georgia comes to play, Alabama couldn't score. The defense can shut you down. So when you got two good defenses, you don't want to fuck around with it. That's not a game to go over on. That's a game to go under on. So you've got to look at the team. So a good over is like maybe Nevada, USC, Utah, UTSA, Houston, where both teams. Well, that's why we took USC and San Jose State. We took that over because San Jose State didn't have a good defense. Ohio State or USC doesn't have a good defense. They got Caleb Williams, and San Jose State had Corbero. So you're looking at the team. Two bad defenses, two over defenses, and two good quarterbacks. That's what you need to bet the over. However, unders are bet against Iowa. You take Iowa State, you take Georgia, Illinois, Iowa. Those are your under team. Minnesota. We took Minnesota under 13-10. Good defenses will stop everything, and then they'll just run the ball more and kick field goals, and my team has a lead. They're going to run. So you're going to end up with unders because of two good defenses. You're not going to get a lot of points. It doesn't work that way. So I can beat a bad defense, but not a good defense. So that's why you've got to understand the teams. Now, again, I'm going off of last year, but I think these teams will be the same this year. They're both very highly skilled. But that's what we're looking at in week 1 and week 2 is the change in team. Kansas put up a big number yesterday. I think there'll be an over. Being the backup quarterback, who I like better than Daniel, was played. He was great. Van Dyke was like 16 out of 17 for 200 yards and a touchdown and an interception. They had 3 guys who ran for 90 yards and touchdowns. So Miami looked, and they won 31 to. What was the score? 38-3, Miami won, and Van Dyke only threw for 200 yards and only 1 touchdown because they were able to run the ball. So look out for Miami. Now the 3, Miami of Ohio doesn't score a lot anyway, so you got to ignore that. But you do see the 38. You do see Van Dyke played well, and with this new offense. So I think Miami's going to be way under spread for a while. But we got a good view of them. And Michigan State Central, we don't know because Central is so bad. Michigan State putting up 31 doesn't really mean anything. They can do that to Penn State or Ohio State or Michigan. Then we got news. But against Central Michigan, we don't know. So Sanford scored 37. So we're learning as we go what they are this year versus last year, because all these transfer portal bullshit and then the recruits and the graduation. So it becomes, you've got to learn, but we know what to look for. We're looking for defense. We're looking for quarterbacks. Same thing in the NFL. It's a little bit change. Hey, Luke, what's going on? You missed class yesterday. Now, there's a rule that me and Bobby have. If you miss class, you got to give us some silver. We need 2 ounces of silver a piece when you miss class. So keep that in mind. So you got to have like a note from the physician, or you're at your girlfriend's or something like that. All right, so that's what you're looking for, Andy. You got to understand the team. This is what's critical. It's sort of like buying the stock. You got to understand the stock. What am I buying? And you can't just buy stock because it went down. Why did it go down? Massive inflation, massive recession. This is not the time to be buying stock. This is the time to get the fuck out of the market. As I've been out for 2 years, I can see what's coming, right? I can see you print money there's inflation and you buy gold and silver. And once it gets out of, but we also know it's price fixed. So we realize why the price isn't at 10,000 an ounce where it should be. So we're buying at 2,000 an ounce saying thank you. And then here comes Russia and China to break it open. And then here comes gold going to the moon and silver going to the moon. And we bought it cheap. I was in yesterday. I bought 8 ounces of silver. He didn't have any quarters or half ounces of gold. I just wanted like a quarter ounce. He had like 6 Cougarans and he had 2 Eagles. And then he had 2 or 3 tenth of an ounce Americans, but he wants 250 for the Americans. Last week I got the Canadians for 200. So it was a big savings on the same tenth of an ounce of gold that to me, they're all the same. So he's still getting gold. It's people bringing it in. People need money or selling their gold now, and they're going to kill themselves because they're selling it at $2,000. And when it hits 10 grand or 20 grand, they're going to go, fuck, I had gold and I sold it way too early because I didn't understand it. And I didn't think it would really go up to 10, 20,000. So I thought it's near the high, but I don't realize JP Morgan's price fixing it and keeping the price low. But now that's blowing up. So it's funny how I see like, CNN or MSNBC on the Microsoft section on my computer at work. And it always talks about, well, don't worry, BRICS doesn't want to de-dollarize. And it's always the Indian guy who says it, not the Russian or the Chinese. And they're the ones who are in charge of it. Don't kid yourself. So believe me, that with all the gold they have, they want it to go up, and it will. What's the manipulation going to end? Very soon, like I said, Russia, China are wanting the price to go up. The new BRICS currency will have gold back, and they're going to need a higher gold price. And even the U.S., with their inflation, they can't see, because a lot of the world's getting out of the dollar. The only way for the dollar to compete is to back it by gold or come out with a new currency backed by gold. Because nobody's going to, why would I want it if the Russians have a gold-backed currency, BRICS, has this gold-backed currency? What would you rather have? Currency that has 15 trillion of these, or a gold-backed currency? Now, you're Portugal. Which one would you rather have? You don't want this one. And you don't want to take it and then get fucked by the U.S. We're going to put sanctions on you. We're going to raise our interest rates on you. We'll only give you the money if you kill the firstborn or whatever. So there's a lot of, strings attached to taking this versus you buy a BRICS dollar, it's backed by gold. They can't fuck with you. Everybody understands that all the central banks but the U.S. is buying gold. I mean, that's about it. So it's just a matter of time. Again, Andy, Luke, it's just when it blows, it blows, and it's going to blow soon. Just understand that. Just be glad you're able to get it at this price and just wait for the good times. Andy, Clemson, Oregon at Florida State plus 10 points. Clemson, Oregon. Okay, you're not listening, I guess, Andy. What can I tell you? I like Duke. I don't like the Oregon State game at all, and Florida State's okay. So I don't know what to tell you. I give you my opinion on the games, and that's it. All my picks, you don't know. You don't know my locks. That you got to pay for the service to get the real strong games. I had a lock Thursday with Utah -1, and it won. And it's with one of the teams today. And then my other strong plays are today. I go through the games, so probably. I certainly don't like maybe this game. I don't know what to do with Oregon State because they have a good defense. Last year, Booglia, I ain't betting 5 cents on that guy. San Jose State's got a good quarterback and no defense. They did put up 28 on USC, so I don't know what to tell you there. And I certainly don't like Clemson. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I can only give you, as I went game by game, what I thought of the games. Again, they're not my picks, but it's what I think will happen. And I've been pretty fucking hot so far. The only loser was New Mexico State. Luke, I've been stacking as much as I can. Well, you've got all the silver, and then you'll turn your silver into gold once the silver price goes up. TCU just tied the ball game at 7. I thought they threw an interception in the end zone. Oh, they threw an interception in the Colorado end zone. Well, you got to be specific which end zone they're throwing it in, Bobby. So, okay, well, there you go. Now TCU will run away with it. So, Prime had a little emotion in the beginning because it's Coach Prime. He probably is playing cornerback and wide receiver for him with his hurt foot. So, no. So if they got to the end zone and threw the interception, and now they got down again and tied it, okay, they're gonna win. I thought it was 14-0 when you said they threw an interception in the end zone. You didn't say in their end zone. I joined in late. I understand, Andy. So I'm telling you what I think of the games. I like Duke. I don't like Clemson. I like the dog and the under in the Florida State game. Oregon State, I don't touch. UCLA, Coastal Carolina over. South Alabama, Tulane, take the dog. South Carolina, North Carolina, I like over and the dog. Alabama, I would watch. Wyoming, I would watch. Washington State, Colorado State, I'd go under. Baylor, Texas State, I like over. Over UTSA, Houston. USC, Nevada, I like USC to kill them. Texas and Army are the free picks. So you've got 2 picks there that you're not mentioning that I gave you last week. So Texas and Army are your free ones. So look at my history, and I put in free pick Texas Army probably last week or early this week. So pay attention in class. Luke, what do you think of the new 6 new countries to join? It's BRICS, not BRICS. There you go, BRICS. I like it a lot because it's the UAE oil company, Saudi Arabia oil company, Ethiopia, and Egypt is about giving them access to the ocean there. So they get the port and they get the ocean. So it's a strategic thing because Ethiopia doesn't bring anything to the table except for their location. And Egypt is Suez Canal and everything. So that's going to help them. Argentina gives them South America with Brazil and Argentina. Mexico, I thought, was going to join. So, those are just 6. 40 want to join, and I think altogether 80 want to join. Nobody wants to be with the U.S. Now, keep in mind, that's going to force the BRICS to have the gold-backed currency, which they already have. They're just getting it ready. They didn't bring it up in the conference. They don't want to piss the U.S. off. What they're trying to do is compete with the U.S. dollar. There's the U.S. dollar here. There's the BRICS dollar here. It's competition. We know, as an Austrian economist, that what would you rather have, gold or dollars? The Titanic sinking or the gold boat? What would you rather have? Of course, the gold boat. Every central bank in the world but the U.S. is buying gold. The price of gold has to go through the roof. Nobody's going to want the dollar. That's why they just keep going like, oh, the dollar is the world reserve currency. Who gives a fuck? When the dollar's worthless, does it going to matter that it's the world reserve currency? And as soon as what Egon says is that it takes 50 minutes to fill a stadium, but the first 45 minutes, it's only 7% full because it keeps multiplying. And then the last 5 minutes, it goes 100%. And that's what's going to happen. So right now, people are kind of in the dollar, but it's going down. And then at the end, here comes the gold. There goes everybody. And then the dollar will be worth. Nobody will want it. If nobody wants it, it has no value. And then you'll be sitting there with Warren Buffett and Gates holding billions of dollars of nothing. And we'll be laughing, going, well, if you would have bought gold, you'd be fine. So, and again, keep in mind, there's not enough gold in the world to meet everybody's demand. So once it goes to gold and everybody realizes they've been made off and they should have been buying gold, but they've been buying stocks and they've been have their money in a CD getting 5% with inflation at 15%. So they're losing 10% in the bank in their money, but they don't realize it because nobody understands except for us. So when you have that, all these people with their money in the bank, if they're lucky enough to get their money out, or you're in bonds, or you're in real estate trust, people, how are you going to pay? Nobody's can buy a car because it's 10%. Nobody can buy a house. So I don't know what BlackRock thinks. Well, we'll own all the houses and we'll rent them out. Well, good luck, because it's going to cost you to own the house. You've got to pay property taxes. You got to pay utilities, maintenance to keep the house up. And you're not going to get any revenue in because nobody's going to pay you $10,000 a month to buy the house. So you're going to be sitting on empty houses, just like the people in New York. I hear half of those skyscrapers are empty. So imagine you own those, BlackRock or Trump, whoever owns them, and there's nobody in it. You're not getting rent. You don't get rent, you're fucked, because you got to pay the bills. So you got to pay the mortgage on the house, even if you paid cash. And the other thing is your cash is worthless. So when the cash goes to zero, what's the value of your house? Zero. Because right now you're living in a $500,000 house. We'll take our Canadian friend. You're in your 700,000 Canadian dollar house. As the dollar, and Canada is far worse shape than the U.S. because they're socialist. And when their dollar collapses, the $700,000 house turns into zero. That's why I'm screaming at him. You had $400,000 to buy gold, which cannot go to zero. Your house will. I mean, look what happened in 2008. All the houses lost all this value and everything else. But they came back, but they can't come back this time because of the debt, that they can't just print all this money out. So when the house goes, when the dollar goes to zero, what is the house worth? Because the house is valued in dollars. However, gold does not need to be valued in dollars, it's valued in gold. Oh, 1 ounce buys a house, 1 ounce buys a Mercedes. Okay, fine. So gold's valued in gold, not dollars. That's the difference. That's why you can't own Bitcoin. Not only do we not know what it is, it's not money because it's not accepted everywhere, but it needs the dollar to be valued. Anything that needs the dollar to be valued is going out. So keep that in mind. So this is what's happening, and that's why you can't buy stocks, because how are they going to, because we know the dollar's going out, right? That's the trigger. That's the A, and then that leads to B and C happening. So there's going to be another 40 or 50 that joins BRICS probably, soon. But yes, it's great news. The 6, from a standpoint of it's real, it's bigger. Now they're going to come out with the dollar. See, that's why they need this neutral dollar, so they can all trade in the BRICS dollar, and it'll be backed by gold. So that's why nobody wants Brazilian or Argentinian dollars. Look at Venezuela. Their dollar's worth nothing. They've inflated. It's like 2,000% inflation. They're so fucked. They have oil, but you can't print your dollar to death, and that's what we're doing, right? So keep that in. San Jose State plus 26.5 is a good pull. I don't. Where's that? I don't know. I mean, they're probably not, but there's so many better games. I wouldn't bet it, Andy. I gave you a bunch of games to pick. Just follow the professor and bet what I'm telling you to bet. You got Army, you got Texas, and then you can play the over in the UCLA game. There you go. I mean, you're trying to make it harder. You're making it harder than you need to. You're going with games that are very iffy, taking more risk on than you need to. So you're looking for what was that? I don't know. I can't think of the expression, but you're trying to get a needle in a haystack. That's what you're trying to do. Luke, apparently it's official in January. Do you think that's when they will want their new currency? No, it's already coming. The new currency is already there. Russia's already developed it, so I don't think they need to wait, especially with China and Russia paying for the war and China's housing problems. And they're sitting on, so you're China, you have housing problems, your economy's hurt, but you got 60,000 tons of gold. What do you think? So they're not going to wait. Russia's got to pay for the war, and they got 32,000 tons of gold. I think they're like, okay, let's get the gold up already because they'll need it. So it's being forced up. Don't you think the dollar will decline in stages? I think it is declining already in stages. Go buy Cheerios or Oreos and see it's $5 for a box. So that's your decline already. You're just not seeing it in gold, but you're seeing it in Coca-Cola or you go to the grocery store, you see it. You're not seeing it in gas yet. It's still for me in Detroit, $3.50, $3.60. So you're not really. You're seeing it in certain products, but you're not seeing it in all. The only place to understand it is interest rates. If you look at the interest rates for a car or a house, so the mortgage rates are up to like 8% now. And that's if you got good credit, probably 10% if you don't. That's how you measure the value of the dollar. So they're saying, I need at least 10% to loan you money is what they're saying. And because, as I explained, if I loan you 10 grand, I don't want to do it and only get 8 grand back because you're going to give me inflated dollars back. So I got to charge you a high interest rate. So if I loan you 10, I get 12 back. And that interest rate right now is 10%, which I feel is way too low. It should be 15. So interest rates are going to keep going up because the value of the dollar is down. And the only way I'm loaning you money is I got to charge you this interest rate. So ignore this whole Powell and all that bullshit. That's him loaning to the banks. Okay, we don't care. That does not affect mortgages and it does not affect car loans. That's the bank to the public, right? So if I want a car loan, I go to the bank. I need a car loan. Well, they do it all at the dealership. I need a car loan. They go and they say, okay, that's Camry going. So keep that in mind. If I lose you, I just got a quick, I'm offline and now I'm back online. So if I do lose you, it's because of my internet. The housing market collapsed when all of this goes down. It's already collapsing. Again, it's collapsing because the same reason for electric cars. The price is too high. Nobody can afford it. So we'll go back to the ribs. I'm willing to pay $28, $30 for the slab of ribs. You sell them at $45, nobody's going to pay you that because we'll pay, let's call it even, we'll pay $30. You're at $45. Nobody's going to buy it. So you got to lower the price of the ribs to what the market says. The market controls everything. So now let's move it to housing market. I'm willing to have, and in this, you're really not looking at the price, you're looking at your monthly payment. So I can afford $2,000 a month, let's say, assuming I don't lose my job. So let's look at $2,000 a month. And then with interest rate, so maybe you can buy let's say a $400,000 house with $2,000 a month. But now with inflation, interest rates are higher. So now the $2,000 becomes $2,500 just because of the interest rates. So the $400,000 must come down to get you back to the $2,000 a month. So now the $400 is now down to $350 because the higher interest rates to get you to the $2,000 a month. That's the problem. So as the interest rates go up, you have to lower the value to get to because all everybody cares about is what's my payment? What's my mortgage payment? Oh, it's $2,000. I can't afford $3,000 a month. So if you keep your $400,000 house and interest rates went from 3% to 10%, now I got to pay $3,500 for that. I can't afford it because I'm worried about my job. I go to the grocery store, it's much higher now. So a lot of the costs are going up. I'm not making more. I'm worried about keeping my job. Who the fuck's going to buy a house now? And the same thing with the car. So I go to Toyota where I get my oil changed and I teach them economics. And the sales manager's going, I can't sell the car. He says now all the payments are $900 a month. Nobody can afford them. So how are you going to sell the car? The only way is to lower the prices. And then they're saying, oh, well, look, inflation's down. No, they can't sell the car because the market won't allow it because the interest rate. So it's interest rate plus the price of the car gets you the monthly payment. But when we go in as buyers, 99.5% of us, we're looking at, I can afford $400 or $500 a month. I could not afford $1,000 a month. Maybe I could. With gold, it won't. You just buy the car with the gold. That's the beauty of gold. That's how we counter it. So it's like we're wrestling. We're Bret the Hitman Hart, and they got us in a lock, and we're countering the lock, right? So how do you counter all the bullshit going on with the dollar losing value and all the prices going up? The only way you counter it is with gold. Then it counters it. Then we're reversing the figure 4. Basically, that's what we're doing. And it's the only thing we can do, but we don't. The only ones we hear saying it are Egon and Alligator are the ones saying, yeah, that's what you do. You'll listen to the other idiots and they're clueless because they're not economists. Rick Rude is a credit analyst. The other guy, Reichert, is an attorney. What do they know about economics? Not much. And it's clear when they talk about it, they don't have a fucking clue. I'm at a level I can understand what they say, and I understand they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's why I tell you not to listen to them, because you're going to get bad idea, or Peter Schiff. You're going to get a bad message from these guys. Schiff will tell you to buy gold because he sells it. The other two, Rick Rude wants you to buy his ETF. You don't own any gold in the ETF. If you don't own the gold, you got this. You got paper. All right. So try to get your gold out of an ETF. You can't because they don't have any gold. There's 1 ounce of gold, and all 50 of us think we have the ounce, and none of us do. You must buy physical. That's why you don't want to fuck around with the stocks, and you don't want to fuck around with the ETFs or the IRAs. You're in gold. It's physically, you've got the gold. That's it. You can't fuck around. But here's Rick Rude telling you, oh, get the ETFs. They're connected to physical. No, they're not. They're just both. The guy should be in jail for lying to everybody. He's doing a Ponzi scheme. Buy our ETFs, but they're making money on them but they'll never give you the gold because there's no gold to give you. It's a Ponzi scheme. So understand, Rick Rude's in a Ponzi scheme. Reichert, who the fuck knows? He's an attorney working for the government. You want to trust the government? Good luck. There was a YouTube that had those two idiots on it, and I just went in to give it a negative and said these guys are idiots and goodbye. I don't want to listen to them. Just like yesterday, the Mark McGuire show with this PhD trying to come up with gold dollars. Well, there is gold dollars that they are called coins, and there is 1/10 of an ounce, 1/4 ounce, 1/2 an ounce, an ounce. So what the fuck's the guy talking about? He's thinking that because he sees, you have gold-backed dollars. You don't make and actually print gold dollars. I don't know it's real. I don't know the values there like I do with the coin. I know I got the coin. You can't fuck with me. This is a 1 ounce coin. Obviously, it's a casino check. It's a 1 ounce coin. I know it's a 1 ounce coin. It says 1 ounce pure gold, 999, da 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 da, and I know what I got. And you can't fuck with me. And it says 1 ounce of gold, so you'll accept it. They might not accept it now, but once once it gets going, they will be happy to accept it. Believe me, I plan on walking into a Mercedes dealer with the ounce of gold and buying a house somewhere, probably in Switzerland, with an ounce of gold. That's my goal. Andy, I need those games for tomorrow. You need what games for tomorrow? There's no, what is there, one game? LSU, Florida State tomorrow? How about today? Do you think BRICS will take down the Federal Reserve? Well, the Federal Reserve is blowing themselves up. The Federal Reserve has no gold and prints and prints and prints. So it's a bank, and if you print your money to zero, then you really don't have any money. So the Federal Reserve, what they'll do, everybody will get out of dollars, and then the Federal Reserve or JP Morgan, who owns the Federal Reserve, will probably just come out with a new dollar. Will it be backed by gold? They don't have any gold. They don't have 8,000 tons of gold. Sorry, hate to break your bubble. They don't have any. It's all gone. It's all been sold. So the problem is we don't have any gold. How do you back your dollar with gold when you don't have any? Russia's got 32,000 ounces and China's got 60,000 ounces or tons. I'm sorry. 60,000 tons, 32,000 tons. They can back their money, the BRICS money with gold, or a new ruble with gold. But what can we do? We don't have the gold to do it. Is anybody going to believe we have gold? So they're going to come out with a gold dollar without the gold, and you're going to say, okay, give me 100. I'm going to go redeem it. And they're going to say, well, we don't have any. You don't even have to do that. You'll just, where do I redeem it at? Oh, at my bank at Chase, at JP Morgan Bank, or Wells Fargo. Okay. Yeah. Hello. I'd like to redeem my gold. Do you have any? No. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're not stupid, but the Federal Reserve is an evil thing that should never have come. It was supposed to be illegal by the Constitution, said no Federal Reserves, no money printed. The only money is gold and silver. Yet somehow they just ignore all that shit, which is the problem with these morons. They just ignore it and off they go. So, I mean, that's your biggest problem. And that's what happens, though. When you got dollars, as soon as you go off the gold standard, you fucked yourself, because then they print and print and print and print. You get the corrupt guys, as I call it, like the dragon in The Hobbit. The dwarves got all this gold, and then it led to the dragon coming. So you print and print and print, and you become a very successful country. And if you look at Spain and France and England and the Netherlands, were all very successful because of their shipping. And then what happened? They took their gold out, they printed the money, and they all went to shit. And we're right behind it. So now you got BRICS with gold back that'll last until they start pulling the gold out, and then they'll collapse. But yes, that's the key to winning, is to have the gold back currency, because then nobody can fuck with you. Professor, when do you think it will be a good time to buy a house again? I hope it's not longer than 2 years. Well, as soon as the gold price goes up, so what's going to happen in phases is your interest rates are going up and the prices are going up. So you don't want to buy now because it's hard to afford. So once it starts collapsing, then they'll come out with the new currency. Then you're going to buy it with gold. Now, I can't give you a time frame soon, but you might be actually better off, Luke, buying a house in Switzerland or Amsterdam or Portugal or one of those countries. You actually might be better off buying a house that's much cheaper in a different part. Because the U.S., we're fucked. I mean, this is why we buy the gold and the silver. So, as soon as the gold goes up, then you can probably buy a house here for a couple ounces of gold that you paid $2,000 an ounce for, and then it'll be worth, two will buy you a house. So that's kind of what you're waiting for here is you're not going to afford one because the interest rates won't go down. As Bobby asked me, it's like it won't go down because they can't stop the inflation. They got to print just to pay the interest. They're printing billions of dollars a day to pay the interest on $33 trillion, which is going to be $40 trillion soon. So you've got to print to pay the interest. Forget anything else and forget them saying, well, we're not printing. It's bullshit. They have to print. They have to print for Social Security, for Medicare. I get Social Security. I'm not relying on it. I'm buying as much gold as I possibly can. That's why I'm a little pissed about this job ending. I wanted to buy another 2 ounces next week. So I could, but the problem with that is because of the way I think, I'm waiting for the next job. Then I know I'm getting money in. Then I can go buy more gold. But I don't know how long I'll be out of work. So therefore, I don't know how long that is. Now, I still might be extended for 2 months because it's all shady to me. I don't know. Somebody's lying through their teeth here. I think it's more Harley than my contract house. My contract house has no reason to lie. They make money on me, right? They make 100 and they give me 40, let's say. So it doesn't behoove them to lie to me, and it doesn't behoove them they want to keep getting 100 in. So I think it's more Harley. If my boss did a 6-month PO and I didn't come till May, so I only got 4 months in, she should still have 2 months in. So I don't know what's going on there. I looked at Harley's financials yesterday. They're making money. They're losing money on their electric side. They lost like $1 million or $2 million, like everybody else. Ford, GM, they're all going out of business with this electric car shit. Trying to sell something with no demand and no market is the stupidest thing. It's a good way to lose your business. So Harley's losing a little bit. They're still making money. So I don't really understand what the fuck's going on. That it's not like they're losing money. When I left Mercedes, they were losing money because they had recalls and COVID was hitting. So they let all the contractors go. This, I don't understand it. So I'm trying to get a real answer, and maybe I get 2 more months to prepare. Then I can go buy some more gold before I leave. But we know gold's going to go through the roof. We know it's price fixed by JP Morgan. We know that. The best way to end a monopoly is with competition. That's why JP Morgan doesn't like competition, and they keep propping up the dollar and saying gold's no good. It doesn't give a dividend. It doesn't give interest. Who the fuck cares if it goes to 10,000 an ounce? I don't need a dividend. Does the Mantle and Brady cards get dividends? No. Do they go up? All I know is my Montana rookie, if I can get a 10 on it, it'll be worth 100,000. Did it pay a dividend when I bought it for 100? No, but the value goes up as gold. And gold is not just for a bad time. If you let gold run at a free market, it would probably have been 20, 30,000 anyway, because people realize that if you don't back your dollar by gold, the dollar is going to collapse anyway. So gold would have a much higher price all the time, not just during a inflation or a recession. Gold would be just like a Rolex or just like a Mantle card. It would just keep going up. So they're full of shit when they say that. And that's all you can do. But that's your protection, and we'll be fine with the gold and the silver. So don't worry about it. So I don't know, Luke. I know you want to buy a house. I don't know what to tell you with the house except just try to look for maybe a bigger house to rent. You don't want to buy now because the prices are going to go down. Reason is because of the Chinese housing market collapsing. They now need money. They're going to sell their U.S. houses, right? Because you got to realize it's international. So you have people in China and England and Germany and France who put their money in the U.S. because they think it's safe. And it's like the guy in the Madoff one on Netflix, the European guy, Hervé Villechaize or whatever, and he had all the all the kings and queens and jacks, and he's running their money and putting it all in Madoff like an idiot, not understanding the con. So put it this way: when I see the line go down on the Miami on the Utah game, I go, why? And then I realize it's Rising's injury. When he sees Madoff making money every month, he must ask himself why and how. And if it keeps going up, he must understand it's a Ponzi scheme. There's no other explanation. It'd be like me picking every game right. You can't do it. There's always a New Mexico State in there. So as good as I am, I'm not going to pick 100. So there's no way, if you got any brains at all, would realize nobody's going to go 100% picking stocks. It's impossible. So if Madoff pays every month, you must realize it's a Ponzi scheme. There's no other explanation. It's up. He's paying. But instead, what do? They blindside. They don't ask the question. They just go, shut up, bury your head in the sand. He keeps paying me. And he keeps paying me, so that's good. I keep making money. I don't care how he does it. And I assume it'll go on forever because I'm an idiot. Just like at the crap table. The guy throws 6s and 8s and 6s and 8s. Oh, he'll never throw a 7. He's just going to keep throwing 6s and 8s. What a fucking idiot. What are you? Is you stupid? You don't think the 7's going to hit? So there's always that. So you've got to realize that that's going to happen. So you've got to understand the Ponzi schemes and be careful with it. So we know gold's being manipulated. We know eventually the 7 will hit and gold will go through the roof. So we just wait for it. But don't be stupid to think it has no value or we need a dividend. We don't need a dividend on a mantle card. Why do we need a dividend on gold? Go buy Coca-Cola if you want a dividend, but be careful when their stock goes to zero because they're woke and people, it's a terrible, the sugar's killing you or the aspartame's killing you. So you don't drink Coke products, right? So how's their stock going to go up if everybody dies from drinking it, right? Anyway, what else? So I was showing you the gold dollar by the idiot on Mark McGuire. Do not waste time on the Mark McGuire. When he has a guest, I'll watch it, but I wouldn't recommend watching it. It's much more informative when he does it by himself. I don't know what his deal is to have the guest on it. I don't know. And I keep commenting, what the fuck do you have guests for? It'd be like if I had a guest. Would you want to see a guest or would you want to see me? I mean, if I'm you, I want to see the professor teaching us, not Joe Blow, especially if he's an idiot. Oh, he's a PhD in football picking. Yeah, so he doesn't know anything. That's the problem. We tune in to see Mark McGuire to tell us what's going on. Really, we just want to know what's going on with Comex, what's going on with brics. That's why we watch the show. And if you got the guest on and he's talking about, look, I created gold dollars. Oh my God. Seriously, Mark, you think this is something that people want to see? We don't tune in to see it. And I keep writing in the comments, we're not watching to see your guests. We're watching to see you. These are the stupidest guests. Like you're bringing on a PhD. Well, we know PhDs are idiots. And then you're bringing on, he wants to come out with a gold dollar. Well, we already have gold coins. I would never buy a gold dollar because I don't trust it. The gold coins that are made by the governments, I trust. It says 1 ounce of gold on it. I trust it. You would trust. If I gave it to you, you would. I believe me. I give them to Jenna when I meet her in Barcelona and in the Ukraine, wherever I meet her. She loves it. She knows what they are. She's a simple girl in the Ukraine. She knows what gold and silver are. Daria in Russia knows what gold and silver are. So everybody knows what gold and silver are, would happily accept it. So don't fuck around. But if I gave her one of these dollars, she'd look at me like I was nuts. She'd go, what is this? There's no gold dollars. Does it say it's not even an ounce of gold. You're buying a 1/20th ounce of gold. Well, if I want that, I'll buy a 1/20th ounce of gold. Why do I need $1 for it when I can have the coin? What is the advantage of the dollar except it's a Ponzi scheme, right? So why would I do that? Anyway, this was Mark McGuire's show yesterday. It was terrible. Again, I'm watching this guy and I'm like, just it's shake my. He knew nothing about Basel. The guy asked him about Basel III. He says, "Well, I don't really know that." Well, what the fuck you doing on the show? You're trying to sell your gold created dollars that nobody will accept. And again, he thinks that it's barter. Like, oh, I'm going to buy milk with this. That's why I'm making 1/20th or 1/64 ounce of gold dollars so I can buy milk with it. Well, guess what? The grocer's not going to accept your money. And when the price of gold goes up, here's where I love it. So I believe that the gold will go to 50,000 an ounce, right? Once the dollar breaks. And COMEX gets the fuck out of the way. So now all these dollars that you're creating to buy whatever, because you think they're barter, are now all fucked because now the value of it went up to 50,000 an ounce. So now these little 1/20ths that you're selling are now worth 5,000 an ounce. So you're in the same boat. You're not going to be able to use them to buy milk and eggs anyway, because milk and eggs will stay at $2 or whatever the currency is. So all that happens is you have the gold, you're going to sell it for whatever this new currency is. You always need this. This is critical to shop and go to the restaurants and pay your bills with. So there's always this. This should be backed by gold, but there's always the medium of exchange is what's critical. And then you sell your gold or your Mantle card or your Brady card, or in Bobby's case, his Mahomes card. And he sells it and he gets whatever the new currency is so he can buy milk and buy Chinese food and everything else. That's what you do. So you always need the medium of exchange. He's trying to make gold and silver the medium of exchange, but everything has to be priced in it, and there's not enough, so you can't do that. That's why you have the dollar, because everybody getting paid needs to get paid in something so they can eat and pay their bills. And if you have gold-backed dollars, what's the difference if I have that or I have my gold coins? It's a stupid idea that'll never work. It's a waste of his time and money, but he's a PhD, but he's clueless. Plus, he's not taking into the fact that gold's going to go up to 50,000 an ounce. And then what happens when the dollar goes away to zero, and now you have all this gold valued in gold, then what's the point of these 1/20th of an ounce notes when I could buy 1/20th of an ounce coin? What is the difference? There's no fucking difference. So he keeps thinking it's a barter. So he's making all these dollars that are like, 1/20th. So I can go to the grocery store, which won't accept it, and do that. Believe me, if I went to the grocery store with gold, I would go to the manager. If I gave him a 1/4 ounce of gold, he would take it because he would see 1 ounce of gold. Like I said, when I go to the restaurant, my barbecue place, and I show him the silver, he will take the silver. He knows it's real money. He will happily take the silver. What do I need a gold note? I guarantee he wouldn't know what the fuck it is, and he probably wouldn't take it and think it's a scam. And I'd say, you're right. It probably is a scam. So stay away from the Madoff stuff. If you don't understand it, don't do it. Don't do it just to do it. Don't do it because Rick Rude tells you to do it, or Reichert or Maloney or any of these idiots. Don't do what they say unless you know. Now I give you the know, so you know what to do because I'm teaching you what to do. They don't teach you. They sit there and Andy Scheckman. Well, there's a lot of people buying gold. Yeah, okay. What does it mean, Scheckman? You don't fucking know. It doesn't mean anything. It means demand's stronger, and until the price, which is price controlled by COMEX, breaks, it's not going to raise the price 1 iota. So what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, these guys are a bunch of idiots. So hang in there, Luke. Just keep buying gold. All I can say, just keep buying gold, keep buying silver, and you'll be able to, buy a nice house very cheaply. because you're paying nothing for the gold. The gold at 2,000 an ounce. I mean, look at Coke. A 2 liter of Coke went from like 99 cents to $1.50 to $3 now. But gold doesn't move, but the 2 liter of Coke goes up. So the dollar's losing value because now it takes $3 to buy a 2 liter of Coke, but gold didn't go up. Well, why isn't gold going up? So it's very obvious. The world will be forced to go gold back. Well, of course, you also have to follow. I believe we have the gold. We don't have the gold. You're saying I believe we have the gold? We don't have. The 8,000 tons is sold. It's gone, right? We had it. We think it's worth. It's like the UK doesn't have any gold, and Canada doesn't have any gold. They don't. They sold it all. The U.S. has sold the 8,000 tons. That's a fact. That's not. I'm not guessing. So it's been sold. So it might be in the vault, but it's not ours. So understand that. New U.S. treasury. Well, yeah, because they're going to blame Putin, and that's my point. So this goes away, and you're going to take 10,000 of these, and they're going to give you 5,000 of the new ones. But that's when your credit card goes to zero and your mortgage goes to zero, because these notes are no longer available, and that's what you owe. So you owe your credit card. Let's say you owe $5,000 in this. This is gone. So your credit card's gone. I can't pay you because the money's gone. So now I don't owe you anything because there's no value in the money to pay you. So that's what's going to happen. Now, do they revalue it in the new currency? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they can, because they're doing it to get rid of their debt, but they can't get rid of their debt. So that's what they do. So yeah, in 2024, there's going to be a new yen, there's going to be a new euro, there's going to be a new US dollar, and they'll try to con everybody into believing it's Putin, it's inflation. Oh, this won't be inflated, but because it's not backed by gold, it's the same bullshit. I'll wear, it's Madoff in a blue coat. Now he's in a red coat. So, does it matter? It's still Madoff. So no, won't matter. It'd still be heavily inflated. Well, the problem is the whole world is being run by George Soros. He's got all these Keynesians running it, and all the Keynesians believe you can print money to death. They don't believe that if you keep printing, you'll lose the value. Us Austrians, Adam Smith people, know the more you print, the less they're worth, right? Look at the baseball cards, right? You got baseball cards that Topps prints 1 billion of them, and they don't have a value. But then you look at this Ted Count Brady, and it's worth $8 million. So if it's very limited, it's worth a lot. If it's highly printed, it's not worth anything. Well, if the Keynesians think you can just keep printing the yen, the euro, the Swiss franc, the British pound, the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, they're all running it, and they're all printing it to death. This is why I'm not into Canadian or euro or Swiss franc. I have to go into gold, because all the currencies are printed to zero. The whole world's collapsing. That's why gold's going to go up so much, because everybody's going to want it. As I pointed out, there's 244,000 tons of gold in the world. And I know you wanted to quote it in ounces or tenth of an ounces or whatever. But that's what you got. And you got a lot more demand. I mean, the central banks probably own 230,000 of the 244,000 tons. They keep buying it and buying it and buying it. That's why COMEX doesn't have any gold. They do the derivatives. They're selling paper out of thin air that's worthless. So that's the problem. So you have to understand that every currency is fucked, because every currency is that. That's why BRICS is coming out with the gold-backed currency, and every country wants to join because they want to get a piece of the pie. Oh, as long as it's a BRICS currency and it's backed by gold, I'll join, because they realize this way they don't have to really fuck with the Russians or the Chinese, because they're going to screw them. And they're getting something back by gold, which the U.S. won't allow. Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi tried to make gold-backed currencies, and they got killed. So the U.S. does not want any competition for the dollar. The U.S. is a bunch of assholes in my mind. So if you wanted to come out with a new dollar, the U.S. is saying, no, you got to take this. And we're going to kill anybody who doesn't. What kind of crap is that? What kind of market is that? So they don't use the market. That's why everybody wants out. If you don't listen to us, we're going to put sanctions on you. But now the U.S. isn't killing everybody. But since it's Russia, China doing it, the U.S. keeps trying to do these wars to get them to stop. That's what Ukraine is about, and Taiwan. There'll never be a war there. But that's what these are about, is to get them to stop with the gold-backed currency. And they're telling the U.S. to fuck off. We know gold is the answer, and we don't want your dollar. And if you're sanctioning Russia, you've opened the door, because now Russia says, well, you've sanctioned us, so we can't go U.S. dollar anyway. So we're going to have to go gold. And since we got 32,000 tons of it, fuck you. And that's why everybody wants to join. So 6 joined, but 40 wanted to. And then they'll, but notice it's Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and then it's Egypt because of where it's located. They didn't care about Egypt. They care that they're right on like the Nile and the waterway there. And same thing with Brazil and Argentina. You've got the whole Atlantic Ocean. And so they're doing it strategically, geographically for the water, they don't give a fuck about Ethiopia or whoever they admitted. It's where they're located. Northwest corner of Africa, which is right on the oceans there. Yes, it is, Luke. That's why we buy gold and silver. I'm giving you the out, which is gold and silver. That's what I'm doing. And that's the only out. So don't worry about your house. Just focus on gold and silver right now. You'll be fine. You need to, you rent a bigger house or whatever, but buying the house right now shouldn't be the concern. That's why I get so upset at the Canadian. You're putting $400,000 into a house in the middle of massive inflation and massive recession in Canada. You're printing your dollars worse than we are, and you're socialist. But had you bought $400,000 worth of gold, I would have loved to have been able to buy $400,000 worth of gold. I'd be sitting back, retired, going, give me another Heineken, or give me another Corona or whatever. I'd be sitting with Snoop Dogg on the beach. I mean, it'd be a joke. If you have $400,000 and you didn't buy gold, you're out of your fucking mind. That's the biggest no-brainer. There's no risk. There's zero risk. It ain't going to zero. It ain't going down. There's huge demand for it all over the world. Russia, China, they don't own 60,000. Okay, so let's look at Putin. We know he's smart. He's got 32,000 tons of it. So if we know nothing, we go, well, fuck, he's got 32,000 tons. He must know something. Even if I don't know, I know what he got. And if he's got it, it must be a good thing to have. And then, wait a minute, every central bank in the world but the U.S. is buying it. Why would banks buy it? So it must be a good thing. So it's going to go. I mean, I don't even know if COMEX has any gold to give out to these people. So when they have it at this $2,000 price, if they even have any to sell, and if they don't, they're fucked, because they're going to want, if China wants some of this gold at 2,000, they better have it, because you don't want to fuck with China. So that's what you have. You have all that, yes, and the whole world is fiat, and they're all Keynesian, and they've kind of trying to get rid of the Austrians. If you do a Google search on Austrian economics, they're like, well, it used to be good, it's not good anymore. And then there's new Keynesian and MMT, which is Keynesian. They don't teach gold. They don't teach Austrian economics. I think at a few colleges they might, but they're trying to phase it, and they're trying to dumb you down that you don't know. I got lucky. I was at a school in the 90s that taught it. It was a fluke. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know they taught it. I just went because it was a business school. I went for an MBA. The undergrad school taught Keynesian. I didn't learn shit. I go to this school because it was close and I was working and I could drive to it. And I stumble and it's some guy, very nice guy, teaching Austrian economics. And everything he said, I go, oh my God. So it just all clicked to me. And that's why people ask me, well, how do you just know it? And I go, because I learned it and it was so refreshing and it made sense. And he taught it. There's no graphs, there's no charts. You just, it's like, what do? I show you, well, ribs are this and he's selling it here. That's the whole function. That's the whole concept, right? Is the market. We're the market. We control everything. And it's up to the producer to make goods that we want. That's why I sit there with electric cars. Nobody wants them. So Tesla keeps lowering his price. Nobody wants the fucking things. Why do I want a pain in the ass? I got a car. There's gas stations every 20 feet. It's reasonably priced. I can fill up. Why would I want an electric car that it's going to catch on fire, that if the battery dies, I can't get out of the car, that I got to find a charging station to charge my battery, that it probably goes 150 miles to a charge. So if I do a 500-mile trip, I'm fucked. I got to find 3 or 4 charges, which how long are they going to take? It takes me 5 minutes to fill my car. I can find a gas station. It's convenient. What the fuck would I want an electric car for? So there's no demand, and all the Ford's losing billions, GM's losing billions. Everybody's losing billions. Tesla's going to be losing billions. And then you'll read an article, oh, they're coming out, they're developed a new battery that, bullshit. You can't. So it's just ridiculous. This propaganda, they make Goebbels look like a Boy Scout, the way they're between CNN, MSNBC, all these. I can't even watch these channels. They're all crooked as shit. Hopefully the revaluation will happen soon. It will, Luke. Just be patient. I assume all the gold mines will be nationalized then. Not necessarily. I mean, Egon said they only pull 3,000 tons out of the ground that they can actually make each year. That's it. So will they be nationalized? I don't know. Are the Russian and Chinese mines? That's where a lot of the gold comes, is Russia and China. They're the biggest producers. They're the biggest mines pulling it out. Canada has a lot. U.S. has some. So I don't know, but who gives a shit? You got Newmont Mining. You got these gold stocks, so they obviously own the mines. I don't know why they wouldn't own it. How much is the government telling them to keep the price down? I don't know. There's no silver mines. They're not worth it. So the supply of silver is not growing as it should, and it's used up. Gold can't be used up. This is probably like Julius Caesar's gold necklace, right? Where silver, it gets used up, it's gone, it's done, right? So silver has a life, gold doesn't. Gold can go forever, silver can't. That's the biggest difference. But there's very little silver, and you need it for the batteries, and you need it for the computers and the phones and stuff like that. So you're using it and wearing it out, and then you need new. So there's not a lot of silver for the price. It's a joke. I mean, it should be at least 2,000 an ounce now. So that's what they're doing. They're holding it down. So you understand, it's 2,000 an ounce. So when I go to the store yesterday and I bought 8 of them at $28 an ounce, I in my head, it's New Year's Eve. It's a party. It's like, oh my God, this guy's still selling it at 28 an ounce. He still doesn't get it. And I buy the Buffaloes. Why would I buy the American Liberties at $38 an ounce when I can buy 1 ounce of silver versus 1 ounce of silver for 28? Why pay $10 more? And when the shit hits the fan, it goes to 2,000 an ounce. And I got my Buffalo and he's got the Liberty. Is it really going to matter? Maybe it's $5 cheaper, but I paid a lot less for it. And in the scheme of things, if I'm paying 28 and it's worth 2,000 and I can only get, let's say it's 2,050 at the Liberty and 2,020 for the bullion, do I give a fuck? Hell no. And by the way, here's 10 of them. Give me my ounce of gold. So that's what we know it's going to happen, but we understand why. It's not an opinion. It's what's going to happen. It's what's always happened. And the dollar will go out because it's not backed by anything. You cannot have a currency not backed by anything remain. It never has happened. It never will, because you got these corrupt, greedy people who are running the printing press and printing and printing and printing. And you can only print so much till there's no more value. In 1923 in Germany, they were printing 1 billion marks a day. And what happened? So you needed a bigger wheelbarrow. It didn't increase the value of the dollar. All you did was create more of them, which actually hurt the value of the dollar. Well, if we got to print $1 billion or $2 billion a day to pay the interest on the fucking debt, so you got a $34 trillion debt, you got to print, you're printing them. How else are you going to pay for it? You can't tax us so we don't have any money, then the economy's gone. So the silver lining is all these assholes who are trying to make us slaves and control us will lose all their money. That's the silver lining. And the other silver lining is the government will go out, because if there's no money, they can't. Who's in the government? Nobody can get paid because the dollar's worthless. So then they'll come out with that's why they come out with the new dollar. The only way government works is you got to have an economy and you got to have dollar. You got to have money. And we'll be on the sidelines with our gold and silver going, I don't have anything. I don't know what you're talking about. They can't track it. They can't tax it. It's beautiful. And so they'll need a new dollar to have a government, right? And to have an economy. So that's where we at. Should it be backed by gold? Absolutely 100%. Will it be backed by gold? Absolutely not, because we don't have any gold to back it by. If you don't have any gold, how are you supposed to back it? Why are central banks not buying gold at these prices now shows how stupid they are. So we're being run by children in America. We're being run by idiots, right? This is the problem when you force a Trump out and you got a Biden in there, and you got Biden's kid stealing all this money, and then you got all these idiots who are in the offices, right? This one guy, the bald guy who keeps everybody screaming at him because he's an idiot. Secretary of Defense is an idiot. All these guys, the border guys, they're all idiots, and they all don't care. They don't know what they're doing. They're appointed because their color or their race or they're a man or a woman. I mean, all this bullshit, not for merit, but because the way they look. And it's ridiculous. And that's the problem. So, we're fucked but we're smart enough to go, the out is gold and silver. I assume, okay, Bobby, TCU down 3 at the half. If they are really real, they would not lose. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. On another note, any alligator videos? I don't know. I didn't check today. I kind of slept in a little bit, chatting with the girls in Europe, because when I get up, it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. Daria's working. Jenna wants to meet in Greece or Italy. And Irina I didn't talk to. Carmen wants a visa to come here. And I'm like, I'm losing my job and you cost me too much money. So I don't know what to tell her, and we'll see. Kenzie still wants money to meet me. She says, I'm in Detroit. I'm in a hotel here. I said, well, okay, when I meet you, I'll give you money. No, you got to give me money up front. I go, oh, yeah, that doesn't sound like a scam, does it? So I go, I'm not stupid. I'm a professor. There's no way you're scamming me like that. What, are you fucking kidding me? I can't pick you up and here's the money, Kenzie. Like, come on, man. I know professor's annoyed with Mark McGuire. Well, go watch yesterday. I showed you that gold dollar. Watch his guest. Why are you bringing you want me to talk football and gold, right? So you come to me and I tell you, But let's say I didn't talk that, or I have a guest on and he starts talking about, I like the Lions, or, uh, something different than what you want the information. I walk down every game. So suppose he came down, but he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, I really don't know how to analyze college football. What the fuck are you on my show for? That's the point, because you're coming to hear me. You're not coming to hear a guest or me and a guest. You're here to hear me. That's the point. I'm here to hear Mark McGuire. What the fuck are you talking about? So if Mark wants to bring on guests who want to reinvent the wheel, we have gold coins. Why do I need paper gold? Can you give me one reason I would need paper gold? Well, I'm doing all these different denominations and I'm doing a 1/20th ounce of gold. We already have a 1/20th ounce of gold that you can get. I have the 1/10th ounce of gold coins. I can get a 1/20th ounce of gold, but I don't want it. That's why I buy silver. And I'd rather give a coin to the guy at the barbecue to pay for dinner. He will take it. If I start trying to give him paper, which can easily get torn, or, what happens if I tear the paper? Gold's indestructible as a coin. Paper's not. What if I lose my wallet? I wouldn't put my gold in my wallet. Where am I supposed to carry these paper gold dollars? They're going to be in my wallet. What if it gets stolen? There's going to be so much more crime because pickpockets are going to think we have gold in our pockets. Now there's no way they can get if I do have a gold, if this is gold and I got it in my pocket, there's no way you're getting it. But you're going to take my wallet thinking, oh, well, he might have gold dollars in there. Plus, what happens when the value of the gold goes to 50,000, as I said? Then your whole scheme goes out the window, because now these are worth a lot more than you thought they were worth. What the fuck? That's why we buy silver and gold. So silver is the little shit. But it's not barter. You don't go into Kroger's with an ounce of silver thinking you're going to buy milk. You're going to sell it, get money, and that's what you're going to use at the grocery store. What the fuck is wrong with these people? We're going to barter. No, but be a new dollar. Hello. That's why you have this dollar. Oh my God, Bobby. It's just so fucking, these people are so fucking stupid. And Andrew's sitting there like an idiot. He's not, he did bring up like COMEX, but the guy has no clue. He brought up Basel III, and the guy had no clue. What the fuck's he doing on the show? So he's trying to sell you these paper gold dollars that we can buy coins. Why do we need this shit? He's a buddy of yours, some PhD guy from the University of London who's an American who's trying to invent gold dollars that are actual gold. Do they say 1/10 of an ounce of gold on them? Like, who the fuck's going to take those? What a goddamn, he's a Madoff. As far as I'm concerned, it's a Madoff. When I got the coin in my hand, I have the gold, right? You can't take that away from me. It's my gold. When I got the paper in it, I don't have gold. I have paper. Well, let's say one guy asked, what if you want to get gold for it? How do we know there's gold backing the paper? No, good questions. And the guy to me was Madoff. Luke, Professor, what do you think about technical analysis? Looks like we're on the verge of a generational breakout in precious metals, even without the revaluation. I don't like technical analysis at all. As I've said, there's too many variables. So you've got to understand it's very hard to do a technical analysis in football, right? I can maybe do it on the Kansas City Chiefs because I've had Mahomes now for 5 years, and I can see they're a good home favorite or they're a good road dog or something, or the Lions bet against as a road dog. I can see that. That's somewhat good, but with all the changes and all the movements, it's very hard to use a technical analysis in football. How can I possibly use one in gold? First of all, it's all been price fixed by COMEX. So what kind of technical analysis do you have? You can only do a technical analysis of free market, laissez-faire economics. So I can do a technical analysis on Canadian Club 12-year because it hasn't changed and it's free market. So if the price started at 20 when I bought it in 1997, and now it's up to $100, I can then get some sort of trend on it, but that doesn't mean anything because now you got inflation, which means the dollars are worth shit. How do you factor that into the technical analysis? You've got another recession. How are you going to factor that in? And the dollar, so the dollar's going out. How do you factor that in to it? The only reason gold's going up is not technical, it's brics. You've got to understand, since brics is coming out with a gold-backed currency, the demand for dollars goes up, the real demand. We need COMEX to be destroyed. And then everything from 71 to now is bullshit because COMEX has been price fixing it. Since they've been price fixing it, none of the technical analysis works because it's not been at free market. So now you've got a price controlled element versus a non-price control element. So that's why when I say $50,000 an ounce for gold, and I'm being conservative, because I'm taking out the price fixing and I'm saying in real terms, if we didn't have price fixing since 1971 and we let it run, it would be probably far over 50,000. It'd probably be 150,000 an ounce because you've had massive inflation in the 70s. You've had this 2000 dot-com bubble. You've had this 2008 dot-com bubble or housing crisis. So the question you ask is why? Why the price fixing? Because who runs the government? Wall Street and the banks. How do they make their money? Selling bullshit stocks and bonds and real estate trusts and shit like that. You see the Big Short, you see margin call, you see the the 2000 dot-com crash. They force you not to take gold because they say, oh, it doesn't move, and because they keep the price down. It doesn't move, and there's no dividends. Why would you want to own gold? And everybody goes, yeah, you're right. I want to make money with my money. The only way I'm going to make money is in stocks. Or the bank says, hey, I can give you a real estate investment trust that'll make you 9% with no risk. And so all the suckers, all the sheep go with them. And they don't get that you don't be in it. Why do you think I have so many baseball cards? I got the Mantle, I got the Montana, the Rice. All those cards were me buying real assets. The biggest thing I learned in my master's was to buy real assets to hedge inflation. Knowing that the dollar's printed without backup in 1995, that the only out was real assets. Now, my ex-wife was we were buying cards, which I knew was a real asset. I had the smarts to buy, well, wait a minute. I don't want the 1991 Skybox and hoops that are printed like water. Let's go back and get the Montana rookie and the Elway rookie and the Rice rookie and the Walter Payton rookie and some Mantle cards, some Willie Mays cards. Let's go get the legends and do that. That's why I have so many of the cards. I do not to be in dollars. I'm very rarely in the stock market, so that's all fixed. You think people are worried about football games being fixed? Fuck it. The banks fuck you over the worst. The central bank, the banks, the taxes, the inflation. We want 2% inflation. What the fuck do you want that for? That's bullshit. That's the first problem is that's what they want. You never want inflation. You don't need it. You don't want it. You're fucking losing value of the dollar. So that's the first thing you don't want. So this is why you do a technical analysis. You're fucked because you don't even know what your trends are. What are your variables? You don't have variables in a price fixed item. If the government's price fixing Canadian club, if they're price fixing this, how the fuck do I know what this is really worth? I don't, and I don't really know what gold's worth. But on my baseball cards, I got eBay, which is a free market. It's not price fixed by COMEX. Now I see Montana's. I paid $100 is worth 100,000 if it's a 10. Okay, it looks pretty good. Maybe it's a 10, maybe it's a 9. So it'd be worth 10 grand or so, whatever. For the $100 I paid, I think it's okay. Even the Mantle 9 will be worth well over 200, 300,000 because The Willie Mays is 75,000. The Mantle 9, 65, 60,000. So I'm not concerned if I probably will get 9s, but I'm not concerned about it. It's well more than I paid for it. But you cannot, I don't pay any attention to any of this technical analysis. As soon as I see Maloney doing it or any of these clowns, I immediately give them a negative and say, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. And you can go look at their sites and you'll see my comments from the Teaserking. And they're fucking clueless. They really are. If you know what you're talking about, do you ever see me with a technical analysis or a chart or a trend? Never. I won't ever use one because they're absolutely meaningless. I do a little on the football, but now it's been made meaningless with too many. There's 10 new quarterbacks every year. So I can't do anything. Like I said, the only ones I can really do is Mahomes. I can maybe start doing Joe Burrow. I can maybe do San Diego, Coach Pete. With Russell Wilson, I did. So there was a few teams I could actually do it. But now with all the movement, it's extremely difficult because it doesn't make any sense. So anything on gold or dollars, you cannot use a trend analysis. You cannot use a chart. It's all bullshit. The best I do is this explanation on the trade cycle, right? Well, somewhere on the trade cycle. Okay, here. So this is my trade cycle. No, this isn't even it. Here's my trade cycle. Beginning of the trade cycle. So this is the only thing I use notes on because I can't remember 15 steps. But it's basically the Austrian economy, Austrian economics. This is the Austrian economics trade cycle, which you got an A+ on, and I did a kind of a thesis, but they called it a directed study, where as it was going, I would see what happened to the stock market. My teacher loved it. He said, you want to get it published? I probably should have, but I said, nah, I don't need it. What do I need it published? But it was basically step one, here's the market. They're lowering interest rates, here's the market. And then by step 8 or 9, they start raising the interest rates, and it was like, oh, all the car companies go down and out. Don't get into anything with interest rates because the interest rates are higher. The cost of money is higher. Get the fuck out. So that's as close as you'll see me coming to a chart. Is my notes from 1994 on the trade cycle, which is just totally, but it's all based on the fucking, what is it? The trade cycle, fiduciary credit inflation. So that is the Fed printing money is the only way you can have a trade cycle, and really the only way you can have inflation, which is why I'm always fighting. The more they print, the less it's worth, because you're making too much money. You're killing the value. And the only thing out is real assets. So like I say, you can buy Mantle cards. Now, are you going to is this idiot going to print little dollars with Mantle cards and Joe Burrow and Mahomes cards and Brady cards? So can you imagine a dollar with the Brady, with 1/10 of a Brady card on it? You're going to take that to the grocery store and buy milk with it. I mean, that's what this idiot's trying to do. But basically, that's your other way out, is those will hold their value because they're real assets, just like a painting. And then, of course, the gold and silver, the Rolex. The house is a real asset and should hold its value, but because of the interest rates is what kills the housing value, right? So the value of the house, if you're in a house, it's worth $400,000. You don't have to move out of the house. It'll lose value because of the interest rate, but you still have the house, and it's not like it's worth zero. It's still, you can get 2 or 3 ounces of gold for it. Then you need to sell, you do that. That's what I would do if I was selling a house. I would take the gold in a heartbeat and run, but I would know what the gold's worth. So no, to answer your question, no charts, never. Can't do trend analysis on gold because it's not real. It's price fixed. Anything price fixed, you cannot do trend analysis. It'll break out only if brics comes along and competes with COMEX and COMEX goes away because COMEX is the price fixing mechanism. Oh, we'll print 1 million shares of paper derivatives without real gold, which will force the price down. So as long as that's there, how the hell are you looking at a trend or a technical analysis? It's all bullshit. So once we get rid of COMEX and we get rid of these derivative, let's say once we get rid of these derivative paper gold, once that's gone and then gold's gold, the physical value, the real value. So keep in mind, this is not the real value of gold, $2,000 an ounce, $28 for silver. It's not the real value. This is what I keep imparting on you. You must understand that the real value is many, many times higher. Silver is at least 2,000 an ounce. Gold's at least 20,000 an ounce. The real physical value. That's what you got to focus on. So when you keep asking me, well, when's the price? When's COMEX going away? The real price is add a zero to the gold. It's 20,000 and 2,000 for silver is the real price if you let free market go. So the question is, when's COMEX get blown up, which is now the competition from BRICS and all these countries wanting to join, they're going to need a higher gold price. So that's going to kill COMEX. And then silver goes right with it. Silver's real money. Whatever gold does, silver does. So they'll both be real money and they'll both go up. So that's what you got to understand. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so, right, Bobby? Luke. So understand the concepts, Luke. General, yeah, of course, Bobby. It's Saturday. Wish I can get some, but all these Chinese spots around here don't make it healthy like you're at. Well, I'll see if they can do a carry out for you and send it to Tampa. Maybe I can FedEx or have Amazon do it. Maybe order it on Amazon, and then the little guy can run to you and bring you your Chinese. Hooky shit, Professor. I just seen that Oklahoma's up 45-0. There you go. I told you. They're literally murdering Arkansas State. Well, there you go. So, again, this is why sometimes you bet the team versus the over-under. So Oklahoma is laying only 58. So all they need is 52 to go over. I think they're going to do that real quickly. And they were laying 36. So if you tease it to 30. And like I said, though, you're not getting help from Arkansas State. Now, what does Oklahoma do? Are they going to go to 70 and win 73-0? Or are they bring in all the reserves and win 52-0? But are you going to get help from Arkansas State to get the over? You still need, you need to get the 52. Again, being in the 50s, this is a joke over. Just like UCLA, just like Texas, Rice is 58. I would think that's the same score you're going to see on Texas. It'll be 45-0 at half. Same thing with USC, Nevada will be 45-0 at half. There you need 60 points. You should get it. But again, that's the thing. In an over, you need both sides. But again, Oklahoma, Arkansas State's got no defense. So it made sense. You knew they couldn't stop them. Texas, Rice can't stop Texas. Nevada can't stop USC. So it's up and down the field as much as they can eat. And you're looking for other teams. Same thing, UCLA, Coastal Carolina. The difference is Coastal Carolina can light it up like UCLA can light it up. So I see both teams in the 40s there. So that's the difference. Neither team has a defense, but both teams have great offenses, and you're not going to shut it down. Now, if Oklahoma was playing Coastal Carolina, this score would be 45-44 at half. That's the difference. So, but you're not going to see that with LSU, Florida State, because both teams have great defenses. You're going to see 17-14 at the half. That's what I try to tell you. You probably see it with Ohio State, Indiana will probably be similar, 45-0. Auburn will probably kick the shit out of UMass. Well, we'll see. So that's really what you're looking at, that superstar, that high offense. Here, their defense hasn't been hurt, right? Arkansas State can't hurt Oklahoma's defense. Now, we'll see them against Texas and Baylor and TCU, what's going on, but we can't see it here. All right, 3 hours. Anything else? So we didn't get to baseball. That's okay. We don't care. Football. So tomorrow what we'll do is we'll recap everything. I think, what do we got? LSU, Florida State tomorrow. That's about it. And then Clemson, Duke. So we will go through the box scores. So here's how you analyze, right? So we see what happened. I think Gabriel probably threw for 5 touchdowns, and now the running backs are running all over Arkansas State, who's like literally freaked out. So like we did here, we looked at Stanford, Hawaii. Stanford had a good dual quarterback, and he ran for some. And we looked at Georgia Tech, Louisville. We looked at Miami. Van Dyke looked good. He certainly played the game. So even if how bad was his thumb? Obviously not too bad. I think it was like 18 of 20 for 200 yards. I think his thumb's okay. We saw Utah, Florida, even without Rising. Utah's going to be very hard to bet an over on because their defense is great. However, against USC, I think they go over because USC, you're just not going to stop USC. So that's your over. And when they play UCLA, you just have to go over with them, even though Utah against Arizona and Arizona State should be overs also. And they get to play Colorado, I think, is in there. So we will see when they play primetime. If Rising's back, they're going to kill them. So that's what we're seeing. So good luck to everybody today. We'll be on tomorrow, maybe 11, maybe 11:30, somewhere around there. And good luck on the games. Be smart. Understand. Always understand. You never want to get made off. And you can get made off in poker. You can get made off with women a lot of the times. Kenzie's trying to made off me with this. Well, send the money, and I'm in this city. She tells me she's in a city that really doesn't have good hotel. Like if she's really rich, why would she be staying there? I mean, she'd be in my city where it's nicer that you would get a nice hotel and you wouldn't be in this other city. So it's all bullshit. But keep that in mind. So you can get made off anywhere if you don't know and you're not smart. So please try to understand what's going on. Try to learn. You want real assets, just fucking keep buying gold and silver. We'll be off the radar, and it's going up in value. And I wouldn't worry about it being taken from us because as far as they know, nobody owns it in America. So what are they going to do? Do not keep it in a safety deposit box in a bank. Do not keep anything in a safety deposit box in a bank or a government agency. They will close it, and you won't be able to get to it. So if you put it somewhere, I would suggest maybe a U-Haul security box or something with a lock and key that nobody else can get to, and but I think it's fine in your house. I don't really see where you're going to really have a problem. I don't know, but just don't, be quiet about it. Don't walk around, with bags of gold and silver in the neighborhood. Anyway, so good luck today. Hope you make money. Try to get the best game. Don't play strange games. Like I tell you, forget Oregon, San Jose State. Don't ask me Oregon, San Jose State. I went through it. I said, forget it. There's better games to play. You want to play the best games. Oklahoma. I don't know how TCU's doing. Baylor I like. Texas, Army. I'm giving you the best games of the day. I'm giving you Texas and Army. So just, and again, don't play 20 games. You're not going to win 20. Take your best games and play them. And then as you win, you increase your bankroll, and then you bet for a little bit more and a little bit more. But never, if you got a $5,000 bankroll, I don't ever want to hear you bet $1,000 on a game. Not at $5,000, maybe at $10,000 if it's a real strong lock. and you're just going to bet 1,000 on that, that's fine. But if you got 5, you shouldn't be betting more than maybe $100 on my lock. That's it. You're slowly increasing the bankroll. There's 20 weeks. We gain because we learn the teams as we go. So you're going to have better bets, bigger bets as we go. So it's right now trying to gain it. Bobby, imagine walking around downtown Detroit with 19 ounces of gold. Never happened. I wouldn't even want to go into the casino at MGM with 19 ounces of gold. I'm not scared with this, but I don't realize I have it on because it's a necklace. But yeah, I mean, they have security. So when you see security, you really get worried like, well, they must have a lot of crime if they have security. But MGM, the Motown casino, I feel scared walking to the car at Motown. It's just dark and people could come from anywhere. So I'm always very leery at Motown. MGM's a little bit better. It's a little nicer, but I try to park as close to the door as I can, so I can just run to the car and then go. And then once I get on the highway, I feel better. Speaking of Madoff, I just got another call incoming call saying scam alert. I like to listen to them. One guy sent me an email, says, "Oh, I just got your receipt for $300 or something." Like, I just got your order confirmation for $300. So in other words, I created an order for $300, and there's a PDF. Well, I'm not going to open the PDF. That's probably just so they can get into my system. That's the scam, right? So you avoid that. You don't open the PDF because you didn't make a system, and if I didn't give anybody my credit card or my debit card, and if it appears on it, I'm going to challenge it. So you just kind of realize it's a scam. So I wrote back, "Nice try, loser, laugh out loud," and I sent the email back to him, and I never heard back from him. So it's like when these guys call you on the phone. Like, I still think this, we're going to lower your car insurance 30%. I think that's a scam because I'm not calling you to lower my insurance. I don't know who you are. Anytime you get a call, it's probably a scam because it's different. If I called Chase and said, "When is my transfer balance hitting?" Or I call Fifth Third and say, "Why isn't my transfer balance hit yet?" I get it, right? I'm calling them, so it's clean. Now, can Jack Bauer be listening on the other end of my call? Probably. But at least I know I've called them. But if they call me, somebody saying I'm PayPal or I'm this or I'm that, I hang right up. Fuck you. If I get an email that says PayPal, check your account, I do not respond in the email. I'll then go into PayPal on my own the way I normally do, and I'd go and I'd look and I'd say, there's nothing here. Okay, fine. So I don't fuck around. I mean, these emails, these phone calls are all bullshit. If you don't call, the only way to know they're real is give me your name and number and I'll call you back. And then a lot of the times you get a call, nothing happens. You call them back and says, "Oh, this number is no longer connected." Well, you just called me. What do you mean? Or the guy, you do get a guy who answers and he says, "Well, I didn't call you." "Well, this number just called me. I'm calling you back. You're answering. What the fuck you talking about? You didn't call me." Fuck off. So just be careful with that. All right, it's 2:30. I'm going to go to the pool. So my club's been closed for a week. I've been swimming here at my apartment, but I like to take a bike and I like to take a hot tub and my run. So I'm going to go to the club and hopefully they're open. Knowing them, they might still be closed, but we'll see. I am tempted to hit my pool and then go for the hot tub and the bike and go from there, which I could do, but we'll see. Anyway, I don't really need to watch the games. I just check the scores. Like the Utah game, I didn't see 2 minutes of it until the game was over. I saw I won. Then I watched it, and I go, "Oh, let's enjoy this." but I don't need to watch it. I heard ESPN pulled the plug on it just 2 minutes before it started, but yet I heard Herb Kirkstreet and Herb Kirkstreet and the other idiot do the play-by-play. So I don't really know what happened, but I don't give a fuck. So right now it's Army and Texas are the big plays. The lock I had Utah with another team was not Army and Texas, just FYI. I think I did have Utah, Texas. I have Army, Texas, but I did not. The lock is not Utah, Texas, just FYI. So there's another team in there that you have no idea. And then I got Nick listening to me trying to figure out my picks. So I got to put curveballs in on them. I don't like that. I mean, if you're a customer, you should be buying. I made you a lot of money, and then I helped you with baseball cards, and then you want to like try to pick my games and not pay me for them. Like, no, that's not right. Because I'm giving him a discount to buy, but that's not right. So no discount, Nick. You pay because you're not going to be able to figure out my picks because I'm an INFJ, so I can say them any way I want. You might think my pick is you might think I'm taking Florida State as a pick. It's not, but you might think I am. I made sure I raised my voice on that. Unless it's Kenzie calling me too. No, she won't call you. She'll put you on Instagram or something. Well, I mean, what is it? Your order came in from Joe Blow. Well, you're not even a company. What kind of order could I possibly have with you that I would have done and you're sending me a receipt for? Okay, your receipt's confirmed for $300. What would I have bought from a guy named Joe Blow? I did buy an Amazon. I bought a little gym bag for $10, which I've been looking for, so I could throw because I bought this big Swish bag at Target because I couldn't find a gym bag, and it was all $50, $60. This was $10, so it's perfect. I can use it as my gym bag, and I can use it to travel. It's a good travel bag, so perfect. Then I can give Jenna my big bag because she always – I love when you go with the girls. They always want the big suitcase. They always have these old suitcases. I did it with Carmen too. So you buy them a big bag, and Jenna, I bought a big bag. We're walking in Barcelona. I can barely walk, and we found a Samsonite store, and I bought her a Samsonite big bag for her stuff so she could go home because she couldn't get everything in because she buys all this shit. And so it's like, another little present, but you can't afford a birthday gift for me. You can't afford $5 to buy me a muffin or something, right? But you want me to buy you a suitcase for $150. Okay. I love that. Nobody buys me a birthday gift. It's hysterical. But for their birthday, I'm giving them, here's $100 or whatever, or we happen to be there. But anyway, women are strange. So keep that in mind. They're women. They're not men. They're different. We know that. They like to be taken care of and spent money on, and then it's a mutual thing. As long as it's a free trade, we get what we want. They get what they want. We're happy. It's when it's not a free trade, when they get what they want and we don't get what we want. It's not good. All right. So anyway, have a good day. I'll show you the general chow tomorrow. It's 2:30, so off to the gym. Go ride. I think I have to have a little bit of lunch and then go because I'm very hungry. I just had my avocado. And that'll be it. So have a great day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Every one of these games is not my picks that I'm betting my money on. Some of them are. So if you think, I'll just listen and he's giving me his picks and I'm not going to buy, it's going to be the rude awakening when I hit the lock on Utah. How many people bet a lock on Utah? Probably nobody. And then I ended up betting it under. Now, people listening probably bet it under. They might have bet it -1 in the initial when I said they're going to win 42-7. but how strong. You've got to bet games stronger and weaker, different amounts, or you can't win teasers. Because if you bet 2 teasers, you got to go 4-0, which you're not going to do. So you got to hit the bigger game and lose the smaller game, and that's the whole concept of it. Occasionally we go 4-0, but usually 3-1. So anyway, have a nice day. www.teaserking.com. I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll go through the box scores and see what we did. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day.